live button. And
yeah, all right, we are live.
We'll be live in like momentarily. Like it'll be we're live
Not
now.
a problem.
We are officially live.
Cool. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody that's not here because we just announced.
Yeah, I know. All is well.
All is totally well. It's fine.
It's a tad frazzled, and now I'm getting to the zone.
Frad-tazzled.
Frad-tazzled.
Yeah. Like I feel
frazzle.
I'm retweeting a look, and I'm just like, this is literally just always me. This is literally the only look I ever have on my face. Like it's that Arika look or Akira look from Lucky Star. I'm just meh. Like that's me.
That frame. Do you remember I made that GIF of John recommending visual novels?
Yes.
That's where that one is from. Actually, I think it was like you recommending visual novels, and he holds up Tsukimi, and you just make that face.
God.
Thanks for the host dances with a woos. This is fantastic. We got that. Wait.
Sadly, the animate's from is bad.
Oh yeah.
She's very good, but she cannot carry the entire show. One good character.
Like one fucking good character. Never a good sign.
Yep. Big mood. Not good for an RPG either.
No, it does not work.
I didn't have a specific.
No, there's nothing.
I didn't have a specific dunk in mind.
Yeah, I'm like that's
when I said that, but.
Right.
Boy, Polly, I'm looking at the splits on your Higurashi run, and I don't think you're going to get world record.
You don't think so?
Hour and a half long episodes.
Nah, man. Somebody's really mad that I'm only doing like hour and a half episodes now. I'm like, dude, I just do one chapter. Like that's typically what I do, unless I'm feeling real frisky, and then I do another. But Lord, I don't need to do 12 chapters.
To what? What?
I guess every episode is supposed to be like because like when starting out, like episodes were around 2 to 2.5 hours, and then like we kind of settled into the groove. But this is a very specific like episode where the chapters are actually just very short and brisk, and it's just like it's fine that it's 50 to 70 minutes. Like, good Lord, calm down. You're getting the same amount of content.
People are so weird.
Why is the internet?
You have so many.
I get the weirdest fucking people.
You get why do you get the weirdest fans? Like these are people that are engaging with your content and then being shitheads.
And then just like they're shitty about it. Like I don't understand at all.
Ugh.
What even is people? Yeah, I know. That's how you word that.
But if it weren't for randos on the internet, how would we know how to make really, really good podcasts, though?
Oh, good point. Good point. I mean, all we got to do is just take that part where the part of your podcast that is literally the entirety of it. Take that, condense it into 20 minutes at the start, and well, there you go. Then you got nothing left.
Get into the good stuff.
I literally don't know how people do hour-long podcasts.
Like I don't understand how people do. I don't understand how people do. I don't understand how people do podcasts that are just like, "Hey, let's talk about the gaming news."
Well, I mean, this year in particular has been rough.
There's a podcast I stopped listening to recently because literally all they do is sit around and circle jerk for hours about, oh man, Microsoft did another dumb! The PlayStation 5 looks pretty good! Like, why are you so invested? You sound so stupid. And these are like content creators I genuinely enjoyed, but it's just like, in this format, you are insufferable.
I don't understand people. I don't understand grown-ups getting into console war shit.
Yeah, but yeah.
Now, especially when the differences between the consoles are so minute.
It's so fucking God, people are
so
stupid.
mad about Spider-Man.
God, why? Why does everything suck? Hey, Beepner, thanks for the 100.
Why is everything so much?
Thanks for the 100 bitty boos. We got Yeah, how about them gay men news?
Gay men news?
I could do... You know what? We could probably make that work. We could probably make gay men news.
It'd be better.
Work. It'd be better, yeah.
It'd be better than gaming news.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think we're still coming together with a lot of pretty good gaming content.
I think so.
In our, I think we've got a lot of good stuff to talk about.
I mean, if you say so. I don't know. I rounded out my list. I got some stuff to talk about.
It is kind of funny though, like the number of times we've come at the podcast with like the hot game of the week.
Yeah,
is like on one hand maybe. There was one time where it's like, hey, I bought Sekiro at launch.
Or wait, like didn't one of us buy and talk about Undertale week 1 as well?
Probably John.
Yeah, because I got onto that.
First one, so
I got onto
it wasn't
that.
week 1. It was like a month and a half in.
I was like,
I kind of mean specifically like $60 AAA games though. Like that's so fucking rare. Like
Final Fantasy 7.
That you're right.
Remake.
7 remake was definitely us actually being on.
Yeah.
That gamer curve.
Nier Automata.
That was pretty early for us. I think I still took a bit to jump in compared to the rest of you, but I was pretty early still.
Yeah. Man,
I remember playing that demo and being like, "Yep, I'm here for it." Yep.
That's good.
I'm coming through clearly, right?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you are coming through very clearly.
Huh.
I made a funny word thing.
I'm like, she meant to say that, I think.
I mean, it's not incorrect.
Oh, you know what? I fucked up. I didn't change my Hibiki avatar.
Oh, that's it. Podcast canceled.
No,
we can't do it like this. Like if Rhett's gonna come in to a hot new podcast without changing a Hibiki avatar that nobody else can see but us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can do it while on the call though.
Thank you for the 1 bit, Raven. Much appreciated. Okay. Ow. Yeah, let me know when you're ready and we'll get started.
I'm ready.
You ready? You're always ready.
I do not have a wide swath of content to talk about. I just realized.
Yeah, I think this might be a little...
Yeah, this one might be a little short. Nobody rips ass.
That's probably okay.
Nobody rips ass like Hibiki rips ass, quoth Poncho Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sockscast, episode 122, brought to you as always by Moon Pies. Moon Pies, you'll think of us every time you come. You absolutely will, too. There is not a time. There is not a time since the first time that I experienced a moon pie. Every orgasm after that has completely changed.
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure I had a moon pie before I ever orgasmed, so.
Oh wow.
That's just been my life.
You were just you were just always orgasm post moon pie. What about you, Rhett?
I know.
I'm sure that you've had a moon pie at some point.
I've never had a moon pie. I don't think they sell them in this area.
What about wagon wheels?
Never seen those either.
You've never seen wagon wheels because like wagon wheels are like the shittier cousin of a moon pie. So I guess you would get like I guess that would be like the Kroger brand orgasm that you'd get afterward. Like the in-house brand.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Kroger brand orgasm.
To my immediate virtual right, get too close and he'll lick you like he likes you. It's Rhett!
Hello, roll that R.
I'm rolling that R
Night.
for you. How's it going?
I can't roll
I
Rs.
can't either, thank you, John.
It's a good thing. Well, somebody in the group had to have a fucking talent.
I can't whistle either. Can both of you whistle?
I can't whistle
I
either.
can't-
There's
I can whistle-
obviously some
Aww.
I can only whistle with my teeth.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. I can make like one tone, but I can't I can do. But I can't
Oh,
make
this
it
is great audio, you guys.
Ooh, Polly, you're doing some variation there.
Yeah, like I can do that, but I'm just using my bottom teeth to do it. Like I don't
Serenading us.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like well, if we don't have a lot of content, we got to pad this motherfucker out as much as we can. I mean, we're
I
professional
think
podcasters.
Polly can.
You think I what?
I think you can whistle, Polly. I think that counts. I think you can whistle. That counts. Oh my god!
I can do songs with it. Guys, I'm so fucking talented. I can whistle with my goddamn teeth.
And you can
Polly
mash
can
12
roar
times a
R's
second in Contra.
I can roll my R's. And I can mash a button 12 times a second, according to Mashy Mashy, which is a ROM that you can get.
But can you keep that spread rhythm?
That seems like a lot.
I can't keep spread rhythm for shit. My basses are so terrible. All right, now we can have a podcast because Red has changed his avatar. It is a new Hibiki avatar. Yeah. There we go. We're good. I thought, let the energy flow through us once again. It's all good. Red is clearly ready to have a podcast. To my immediate virtual left, the one and only purveyor of any and everything FUM. It's John Thayer.
God damn it. Hi.
Hey. How's it going?
You held on to that one. That's good.
You know, I don't know why. Like, it's just, there are things that get stuck.
I'm not annoyed. It's great.
Like, there are things that end up real funny to me. Like you pointed out in Discord earlier that I typed asshole as 2 words and not 1 because that's way funnier for some reason.
So funny.
Like, I will punch you in your big fat stupid asshole. Like, it's just way funnier. It's just way funnier for some reason. So you did you mistyped the word fun and you typed FUM. And for some reason, that struck me as, that's incredibly fucking funny. Or, it's incredibly fucking funny.
It's not just that it was funny. It's that I saw it, immediately deleted the tweet, and then reposted it with fun. But you caught it.
Yeah.
And I think that added a lot of flair to it.
See, the cool thing about TweetDeck is that if you delete a tweet, it doesn't immediately go away. It sticks around.
I think it's true on regular Twitter, too. I think everyone is just constantly... I think nobody else is deleting their tweets like I do.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you are...
I'm a big pussy about my tweets.
You are the most infuriating... Like, anytime you go to fucking @John, it's literally a fucking crapshoot of, is the tweet there anymore? Like, it is the most infuriating... Like, I have literally just been like, no, I'm not responding to this. Because, at points, because it's just like, I don't know or care if the tweet is there. Fuck it, I'm not gonna check. Whatever. This reply is lost to the ether. I don't give a shit.
For me, it's going to click like, and it just goes, like failed, because the tweet's gone.
That too. And that's why I don't engage with John's tweets anymore. It's because it's like,
wow.
Who fucking knows that it's there?
Don't worry, John engages with his own tweets.
He does. He will. Man, that motherfucker that will retweet themselves
from fucking remember this time I said this in March? I'm gonna bring it back.
Remember the time I said this?
Remember what I said
2 years ago?
Remember this very funny thing I said in the past?
I don't care who you are. That's funny right there.
We're such assholes.
We're fucking stupid. Rats!
That's what I said, Paul. That's what I said, Rhett.
Get us out of this hellhole. Whatever is happening to this podcast, please help us remedy it.
Rhett, it's time for our regular weekly news. What's been happening in the gamer sphere, Rhett?
Update us on
honestly.
Ubisoft hates Black Lives Matter, so that's a good.
I guess that's the only thing. I didn't even look at that. I was just like, I just don't give a shit about them at all. Sorry.
What? You're telling me a Tom Clancy game? You're telling me a fucking Tom Clancy game might have some fucking problematic content? You telling me
might be a little right wing leaning?
Yeah,
really?
Like holy shit! Oh my god, video games are fucking stupid. God.
Oh, they're not political at all, though.
No,
we're just making entertainment here.
Exactly.
All right, forget about weekly game. Yeah, I think we need to trash this segment, Rhett. It's just not fun anymore. Why don't you just tell us about some games you've been playing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or other stuff. Anime. Who gives a shit? Or anime.
No anime.
Let's
this
really
week.
just throw the whole structure
Wait,
out
did
the
you
wall.
just wait? Did you just say no anime this week?
Yeah.
Did you? What? Say that again. I need you. I need you to say that again.
I didn't watch any anime for the last 2 weeks.
What? Huh? What? Hold on. Just, I don't, what?
Are we in a Travis bit right now?
I think Polly's gone. She's so surprised.
She just left.
Okay. Just trying to register that those are the words that I heard. Hold on, give me a second. All right. Okay. I think I'm good now.
Okay.
I think you're okay. Okay. So, Rhett.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's just, I think right before the last podcast, I had finished the Ascension of a Bookworm anime.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yep. I don't have any desire to watch anything else now, because I was just like, I kind of got into that sad mode of like, oh, I really love this thing and now it's done and I have a void in my heart.
You got post-bookworm depression. It's a real thing.
I was really surprised by that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started watching your Higurashi stream, so that's kind of filled a lot of the viewing anime adjacent stuff.
Are you're watching along with Mayakashi?
Yeah, I started. I was just like, fuck it, starting from the question arcs or the answer arcs.
Okay, cool.
I very much dropped out because I played the first 4 games and watched a ton of the streams in one go, and then needed a little bit of a Higa break.
I mean, those games were released over the course of like 4 years, every other Comic Cat or something.
So I'm sorry, Polly, that I've been dipped for a bit.
Like, it's understandable. This is like it's like, I'll talk about it more, but it's just like, this is something where it's just like, okay, the audience is naturally going to peel off over the course of this big 8-game thing. Like, I'm sure it's just going to be me and Sayara when we get to Matsuri Bayashi.
If this arc doesn't scare
unless
Sayara
people like
off.
Red jump in with the answer arcs.
There you go.
Well, that's the thing. I think that is part of it, is that people who know the series can actually just jump in to see the parts they want to.
Yeah.
Because
I watched Kai once 10 years ago, so I actually do want to keep that pretty.
Oh, yeah, that's probably really smart.
For me, this arc always felt like something was lost in the anime adaptation because you didn't get Shion's internal monologuing and thought process.
I think that like this, like Shion's a very interesting and complicated character, and like a lot of her actions are easy to kind of look at and think one way. And when you're given when you're finally like inside her head for an entire arc, and it's just like, oh, a lot of the way she feels makes sense, and you kind of just you shyly pull out that little Shion flag and start waving it around. Go you, go.
Aww.
Go.
You put away the harpy.
Yeah, you put away you put away the venom spewing bitch snake flag. And you pull out the "I will love and protect you forever" flag.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely caught up, but I've been very surprised at seeing some of the stuff that was cut out of the anime or just not super alluded to. It's just like, oh wow, they really kind of missed the point of the story at points. It feels like. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's been cool catching up with this. Now I'm immediately like, oh, I want to watch the anime again just to see exactly like what was changed.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Things.
That's what I've been doing as I'm going through this. It's kind of like I would finish an arc and then watch the corresponding arc in the anime, and it's been it's interesting because obviously it's condensed and like you're not getting some of those big moments that the anime has. There's a couple, especially in the 3rd arc, where it's just like, didn't hit quite as hard as I thought it would after the visual novel, but still very good. Of course.
I mean, one of the biggest moments in Arc 3 is an internal monologue.
Yeah,
and that's just gone.
Yeah.
Like that's rough.
Yeah.
I think you said Sayara might dip off. I think if Sayara stuck through the arc,
Sayara's in for the long haul.
It's hard to imagine it getting worse.
I think that of everybody like watching right now, like I mentioned it during the Higurashi spoiler cast that we did for the first 4 arcs. Like, if anybody's been more inspired by Higurashi, and it seems very, very just keyed in, like, it's Sayara, because, I mean, so much of his art has been, like, a reflection of Higurashi,
Right.
and he's done a lot of Higurashi, like, memes and actual art, like, a lot of his expressive works. There's a couple of really good ones that's like, man, can you get me a print of those, please? But, yeah. Good stuff. And Jetstorm, of course. Jetstorm's on the ball.
Dropped Rhett.
We dropped Rhett.
Yep.
Well, it's okay.
Yep.
It's just the
Yeah.
it's just the old man. Like, he just completely dropped. But it's fine. Like, me and John are great at filling air. We can fill air.
I'm so sorry.
Of course.
You closed the browser, didn't you?
Did you?
I opened a new one.
You opened a new tab.
Because
Of
I
course
went to
you
look at
did.
the chat and the Discord chat, so I just opened a new tab. Anyway, I'm sorry.
This happens every time, and I do it too.
It's not even that I'm closing it; it's that I'm opening a new one. It goes, "Oh, you want to be over here now?" It's like, no, just why would you close it like that? Anyways,
Yeah, like Beepner.
Professional podcast.
Beepner bought one of Sarah's prints. I'm gonna see if Sarah could put one of those up in his store to be one. There are a couple that
I have one of Sayara's prints.
yeah.
I have one of Sayara's prints. They make me happy.
Yeah, like Sayara's. Guys, if you don't know, Sayara's art is fucking amazing. Grace's art, like, we have, look at the privilege we have of having Sayara's art be like the entire identity of our podcast. It's the most incredible thing.
It's so cute.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely.
Farting. Everybody was farting and subscribing while I was giving our good friend Sayara so many props. Okay, Rhett, where were you?
So I did. I'm sorry, my throat has this, some phlegm in it today.
I've got that issue too. It's fine.
I played some video games.
Yo, those are cool. Sometimes.
Yeah. I had a string of getting mad at a whole bunch of video games.
Oh God, man, I had that issue.
Oh.
That was me a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so these are from a couple weeks ago. I was just bouncing off games like viciously, but there were two where I was like, okay, this is good, but I'm done playing it. I'm sorry. Like, both times I uninstalled the game, kind of a bit mad, and then came back a few days later, played for another hour, and it was just like, okay, I'm sorry, but I'm done with you.
All right.
So, first of those two was a game called Void Bastards.
Oh, hey, this game looked cool.
See, that's the thing, is I like this game. I get what they're going for. It's really cool. It is a first-person roguelite where you go through these randomly generated derelict space stations, or spaceships, basically, and you're scavenging for materials because you're trying to, repair things on your ship to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It's like, one of the cool things is that, like, the ships are procedurally generated in a way where, like, every room has its own function. Where, like, I'm trying to remember because I played this a couple weeks ago. Like, certain rooms, like, the dining hall will have food in it, obviously, and then that's the resource. Like, every turn you make, you consume food, or you go to the engine room to get fuel. And then some of them are a little more like specific. Like, if you go to the like the captain's quarters, you can download a map of the whole area or stuff like that. So it's cool because, like, instead of just going into this area, like in Binding of Isaac, everything is just random. Like, there's no purpose to any of the rooms.
Yeah, like,
so
they're not utility. They're made to be obstacle courses for the enemies to fit in.
So in this, it's like, I'll go into the spaceship and it's like, there's a bunch of, security cameras and stuff. I want to go to the security room to disable the cameras first. Like, there's more purpose in planning out how you go through these areas, and that's interesting. But I think there's not a ton of variety where I kind of found myself just kind of booking it towards the captain's quarters, like, every time.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of bummed me out is the shooting is very basic as a first-person shooter. Like, enemies that just kind of beeline towards you with very straight projectiles. And it's just like, the couple of times I died, it was because I got mobbed so hard that I was just, like, instantly dead. Whereas for the most part, the game was actually pretty easy as a shooter. The other thing that's weird is the roguelite progression is, I think it's actually way too generous.
Oh, you just get too much shit?
So basically, there's a whole crafting kind of upgrade thing in the vein of, kind of reminded me a bit of Rogue Legacy, which is another, very upgrade-driven roguelite game.
Yeah.
Basically, every ship will have like one kind of unique crafting item that you can use to make these upgrades, like 15% stronger revolver or something. And like a lot of those will require multiples, or not multiples, but like you'll need duct tape and an iron pipe or something. Like it'll require multiple items.
Yeah.
And then there's also the main story progress. Like I think the first thing is like forge an ID card. So you need like a printer and ink or something. I'm just making this up. So what I found though is that, so the first one, like forge an ID card, you have to get 2 items, and it kind of points you towards where they'll be on the map, which is pretty random. So I get the first one, or like I think the first time I died right before I got the first one, and I was like, okay, I'll try again on a new run. Get the first item, keep going, get the second item, get the story progression, and it's like, okay, now you're on like depth 2, and there's 3 items I need to get the next kind of story progress thing. And I keep going on the same life, and I get the first one, and then I die. And I'm like, okay. So in my head, I thought the game was that you have to get all 3 of these items on the same run to progress. And then I load up a new character, look at my inventory, and it's like all still there, including 1 out of 3 for the story progression items. And I was just like, oh, did I lose anything for dying? And the answer was kind of no.
Oh, weird.
So that just seemed really weird. I think there is like a permadeath mode for the game, but that also seems way too harsh. It seems like it kind of could just get away with wiping your whole inventory every time, though, as long as... So then there's more of a risk-reward of like, oh, do I want to use the iron pipe in this upgrade that I can make immediately, or do I want to save it and try to get the duct tape for the better upgrade later on? Oh, but if I die, then I'll lose everything. Like, that doesn't exist in the game because you just keep everything when you die. So that was a little weird, but I think it was mostly just that the random generation in the levels and the shooting weren't very good. I was just like, after 3 or 4 hours, I was just like, I kind of think I've seen all of this, huh? Because it just, once I realized the inventory didn't reset, it's like, oh, this is just kind of a grind, huh? To get everything.
Yeah, that's like the big problem with a lot of games in this style, right?
Yeah, they all kind of fall into that weird shit. Like it feels like it's a weird Skinner box, basically. But it's not interesting in the same ways that like the Binding of Isaac keeps opening up.
Yeah, like Binding of Isaac is like, I mean, there's a ton of randomness in that game, but it is essentially all skill based.
Yeah, very skill based.
Yeah, whereas this, it felt like if you can just get 1 item per life, you'd still be making
just keep
progress.
slamming your face against it.
Yeah, because even like Rogue Legacy, the way it wiped your money between runs, that was still something.
Yeah,
and even that, like, my problem with that game is that it is so upgrade focused, and that it's like
grindy.
It's complete. The problem with that game is that it's like completely unfeasible to actually beat the game on your first life.
Yeah,
where on this, I think it totally is, because like, say you get a health upgrade, you craft it, you get it immediately. You don't have to wait for your next life.
Yeah, so
it's like, in Rogue Legacy, like, everything just was waiting for the next character because you were dying constantly in that. So I think it's a cool game with the concepts that just maybe felt a little underbaked. And the other game I played and kind of bounced off was War Groove.
Oh, no!
Which is
Advance Wars, basically.
So, yeah, I didn't realize. So I've never played Advance Wars. I kind of looked at this and was like, oh...
What was the game name one more time?
War Groove.
War Groove.
Oh, I have a friend that's gotten really, really into this one.
Yeah, this is...
Tell me about why you bounced off it.
This is the strategy RPG that kind of took the Switch by storm a couple years or so ago, because people were desperate for a strategy RPG.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. Yeah. And people are just hungry for more... Something that is... Like, I know that this has, like, a more of a musical element to it, but, like, people are just really thirsty for something that's not Fire Emblem, but also is Advance Wars.
Yeah. I think it came out before there was any Fire Emblem on the Switch, too, so I think people maybe thought this was going to be that, and it's definitely not. Because
Red hates it because there's not a face-petting minigame.
Oh, jeez. I haven't played Three Houses. I don't know nothing about that. I only played Awakening, and I didn't even like it that much.
Did like it enough to replay the first 10 chapters like 6 times.
Like 20 times.
I tried to squeeze the fun out of that game. So here's my problem with this game.
Like
Okay.
36 times.
This game's really fucking hard.
Oh yeah, Wargroove is really hard from what I've heard.
Yeah. And like, I just kind of didn't overall mesh with its style, because like Fire Emblem, every unit you have matters, because they can permanently die, and your overall army will be forever weakened by that. This game goes so far in the opposite direction, it's just like hilarious, because it's Advance Wars, and I haven't played one of those. I think I played like a knockoff on the TurboGrafx a long time ago.
Oh.
Basically, this is a game where you have bases on the map, and every base you have will give you like 100 gold per turn.
Yeah.
And then you can buy more units every turn. So you are just spamming new units and throwing them at the enemy constantly.
That's Advance Wars.
But the enemy is also doing that, and it's just... I found that style really frustrating.
Yeah.
Because every map is like, oh, but the enemy controls 70% of the map at the start. You've got this insane uphill climb to
like that's them. Kind of always the setup.
Yeah, it's just kind of annoying, where it's just like, you have to do so much better than the II in these matchups, like, because everything is, like, super strong.
It's better than the II, and I just pictured the little super monkey ball.
Oh my god.
You gotta play better than II, that's all you gotta do.
AI. The computer.
No, I like II better.
We're really busting our balls this episode, Polly. Glad you're having fun.
Go on.
So the thing that was frustrating for me is that a lot of units will completely or almost die in one hit.
Oh.
Because of like how effective or super effective like a weakness will be. Like, like you send a dog against an archer or something, the dog is just like one hit killed. Yeah. The other thing is that as the unit's HP goes down, they get less effective.
Yeah, they get less effective. Yeah.
So even if they don't die in one hit, they're essentially useless at that point. Yeah. Like, you have to have them retreat. Because it's like, it is like fully scaled, where it's like, oh, if this unit goes down to 10% HP, they will do like 10% damage at that point.
And that's
they're
worthless.
Yeah, it's worthless. So the game, I think they patched it after release, because everyone was like, why is this so fucking hard?
Yeah,
They patched it to... They added in, assist mode and difficulties presets. So I had gotten really frustrated at this one match, and I was just like, I'm going to quit this game because I'm too prideful to lower the difficulty. I uninstalled the game. And then after like 2 days of not playing anything, just being kind of grumpy, I was like, I'm going to give the game one more shot. And I put the difficulty down one notch, so it's like, oh, now you take 80% damage. And it's like, well... that's a little bit better, but then you still run into the issue of this unit would have been killed in one hit before, but now they're at 20% HP. They're still kind of useless. So then I beat the match I was stuck on, and then the next one was just like, the enemy controls 80% of the map. There's 3 bridges and choke points, and they just come and fucking rush you, and it sucks. And I was just like, yeah. Because there's also like, God, there's like 12 unit types.
Yeah.
So like, figuring out all the weaknesses, like what to buy when you see enemies coming at you, it's just like, I don't really give a shit to memorize all this.
Yeah.
Also, when the enemy has like a dragon and they are just, no matter what you do, you're just kind of fucked, is also kind of annoying.
That's a bummer.
So it's like, the game is fun, but also the story was like not going anywhere particularly interesting. Like, it doesn't take itself seriously at all.
No, it's very online from the dialogue that I've seen.
Very goofy, where like the commanders are just like teasing each other between matches. And
and there's a lot of that comes from a lot of Advance Wars stuff, where the interactions between the generals is generally pretty good stuff. But those games usually end up having pretty decent stories as well. So, except Day of Ruin, that one got a little too. That one's a little too edgelordy.
Yeah.
That's the impression I got from how people talk about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
They
it's
made like a grim and gritty
Oh,
Advance
no.
Wars at the very end of its lifespan.
Yeah, like they took this really colorful game and just sucked all the color out of it. So it's just this drab ass looking, just like it. I think Beepner played it. And I remember him talking about it quite a bit, and it being it's sounding really boring.
Aw.
So yeah, I think this is a good game. It just kind of wasn't for me.
Not the red flavor.
Because I think like there's something that's just about the way like you can be right about to beat the enemy and they just keep spawning units. It's just like fuck off. Like even when I beat that one match where you start with like this real uphill climb, and eventually I control half the map and we're evenly matched. Still take kind of forever just to beat the enemy into submission because they just keep spawning new shit every fucking turn, and I don't know. Don't want to micromanage like 20 units on my side.
When you started talking about lower the difficulty, I thought it was going to be the fire emblem thing again, where you're like, and then it was too easy.
That's what I was super afraid of. So that's why I only went to like 80% damage, which is like the game even says it's a tiny bit easier. Because then after that, it's like, okay, now you just take 50% damage, and we give you way more money per turn. It's like, oh, okay, you just don't care at that point.
Now you're just insulting me.
Because then there's even one below that where it's like just the story mode. And then you can even just go into custom and set everything to like 0 if you really want to.
And we're not bagging on that. We're not bagging on that stuff. It's just, it's not how you wanted to play that game.
Yeah. Because story mode, I think even in story mode, it's like you take 30% damage. So you still have to play the game.
Yeah.
But you could still conceivably lose.
Mm.
So that's the stuff I was up to like 2 weeks ago.
Cool.
But I felt like talking about all the anime last episode.
I remember that. Remember the days when Rhett watched anime?
I started a new show. I'm only 1.5 episode in, though.
About the same length that me and Polly are into Simple Gear Season 3.
Boom!
I don't know if you could hear it, but I just sighed really loudly.
I heard a sigh.
No, I heard the sigh.
I heard the sigh, and for some reason, my brain inserted the sound of the Higurashi as soon as you said that.
That's Red's first step. That's Red not getting the doll.
Oh my god!
me sobbing. Polly said she liked the show, but then she dropped it on season 3.
She didn't even just stop watching it. It literally says dropped on her profile. That red text burned into his soul. That's the reason. That is the reason for this tragedy. Red's been writing a 150-page notebook. He's been writing ever since that day.
Life is good.
Yeah. Good fucking times. Okay.
So, Polly, what you been up to?
What have I been up to? Oh, man. Hey, guys.
Hey, just checking. Am I still coming through?
Yeah, you're good.
Just checking. Am I coming through clearly?
Yep.
Good. Cool. All right, continue.
So, guys, it's the year 2020.
Uh-huh.
The year of our Lord 2020. And you know what that means? Everybody feels like shit. Everybody feels like, man, everything I do sure does feel very muted and terrible. And I feel like I'm bouncing off of literally everything I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of been my last 2 weeks.
Kind of a theme here.
That's kind of been the theme. I'm just like, man. So I've got like a grab bag of things I've kind of been playing around with. So I finished Hunt Down Hard Mode. I finished Hunt Down in hard mode. And,
cool.
I don't think it's necessary because I think that by the time you get to the end, or even like the halfway point of that game, you got enemies with shotguns that are kind of just ripping you in half in 1 or 2 hits anyway. So that's kind of basically what the hard mode in this game comes down to. It's just 1 or 2 hits and you're dead. Which I mean I'm fine with. Like it made those end of level bosses so much more fun. And you've obviously got to be a lot more aware of the patterns that are playing out. So it was a good time.
Okay, cool.
I don't think that it made the end of area bosses that much more difficult, because those are like bigger and they feel like more scripted, because they're bigger and more set piecey. They're awesome. I love the absurdity of them. But I didn't really feel that those got way harder. I feel like it was more of just like the levels are way harder now because you're so much more fragile, and like the end of the level bosses are just like, okay, I've got to be hyper aware now of just like of any ads that are coming in, and if somebody drops health, I need to go grab that shit yesterday. But that was a good time. I still had a good time. It was a good way to kind of get a little more play out of a game that's about 3 or 4 hours already. So I got another couple hours out of it, and I'll probably, dip in and play that game a little more, because you do get 3 starting agents that you can play with, and they all have various different little quirks to them, but it's mostly just kind of like their flavor dialogue. There's a lot of that to still enjoy. Game's still very funny. Game's still very pretty. Game still sounds amazing. Game is only $13.99 on Switch right now. So just in case anybody's interested, that would be obviously the week of August 29th, 2020. So that's been fun. I started learning Mahjong.
Man, this came out of nowhere for me.
It didn't really come out of nowhere. It's something that
I love this, by the way.
Okay. So the 4th arc of Higurashi, Himatsubushi, takes place from the perspective of a cop, and he comes to Hinamizawa to kind of start investigating shit, right? So in the middle of all of this, like, he meets up with the cop that we're already familiar with, Oishi, and then they go to a mahjong parlor, and they play a very intense game of mahjong. And while we were reading this game of mahjong, like, none of us in chat, other than maybe Sayara, knew mahjong, but everybody was just kind of flipping the fuck out at how well this scene was written and just how intense it was. It was just so stupidly over the top. It's very much, what's that, Akagi, I think? Or is that the other one?
Kaiji is the anything. Akagi is the mahjong one.
Okay. Yeah, so, like, they're playing this scene out. It's super intense. There's, like, this high-intensity CG of Akasaka slamming down, like tiles with lightning flying everywhere. It's incredible. And it was just, like, I've always considered this, like, the most incomprehensible table/board game thing in the world. It's something that, like, I've always kind of, like, looked at videos on, and, like, 5 minutes in, your eyes gloss over and they find you in your bathtub dead the next morning. That's kind of how it is. That's how it seems when you're not, I guess, fully dedicated until it's, like, listening to the explanations of what they're trying to tell you, I guess. So I found, like, a really good It was a good YouTube video. It was about 3 hours, but I only had to watch like the first maybe hour of it to kind of get, okay, all of this actually is making sense now. So, like, and then I had posted on the forum that it's just like, I've always kind of like there's like somebody started a tabletop game thread on the forum, and I was just like, yeah, I've always kind of been interested in mahjong, and Ghosty was just like, well, hey, there's this like online flash version you can play. And then then I started practicing on that after I kind of got the basic rules down, and it was just like, oh, this actually, like, it's very complex. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and make it sound like it's the easiest thing in the world to grasp, because I still don't 100% grasp it. A lot of mahjong is really in luck and being able to think like 5 tiles ahead. And being able to absorb the information in front of you of the tiles that have been discarded and thinking to yourself, what's left? What hasn't been pulled, and what do I have the best chance of pulling? But once you kind of get the basic rules down of, like, what the goal is to win a hand, and things like that, it's not so hard to understand. It's just, like, it's very similar to cards in that, like, it's just suits and numbers and like, building very basic combinations. Like a triplet is just 3 of the same tile. A run is, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like that's a run. Just 3 tiles.
Like a straight.
Yeah, it's like a straight. And then you need to build a hand out of, like, they call those 2 things melds. You need 4 melds and a pair. That's all you need. So you just need, it can be any combination of that. It can be like 3 runs, a triplet, and a pair. And then that's your hand. You call that you won the hand. So, like, and there's a lot more to it than that. Like you start getting into like Dora modifiers and things like that. And it's stuff that you kind of just start absorbing slowly as you start poking around with it and seeing how hands start playing out. And that's been really fun and interesting to start poking around with. Was you going to ask a question, John?
I was just going to make a joke. I said, when you break a tile that makes it vulnerable to toppling, and once it's toppled, it's vulnerable to being dazed. Continue.
Yeah. So yeah, like it's been an interesting thing. Like I think that myself, Sayara, Zalaz, and Ghosty are probably going to try and get together in the next week or 2 and get some 4-person games going. Because we found that, I think we're going to play on this thing called Mahjong Soul, where it's basically kind of just a free-to-play. I think it's meant mostly for mobile, but you can play it through your browser, and it's pretty. Like it's very good at helping you understand what's going on in the middle of a game. Like if you're trying to keep track of like tiles that have been discarded, if you can hover over a tile and then it'll show you on the board if any of that same tile have been discarded. So it makes it easier to think about your discards and things like that. The only thing that's really complicated right now is understanding Yaku, which are, like, to win a hand, you need to form at least 1 Yaku. And an easy way to think of a Yaku is like a winning condition. And that basically adds a multiplier to your score at the end. Like, the easiest way to get it is to just never open your hand. And you open a hand by taking tiles from other people to create either a straight or a triplet. So, like, if somebody drops a tile that you need, you could say, I want that! But you don't say I want that. But it's funnier to think that you say I want that.
I do.
Yeah, you say you want that.
Gimme.
Yeah, there you go.
Your
Make a big theatrical gesture out of it. You take that tile and you put it off to the side, and now your hand is considered open, so you don't qualify for the most basic closed hand Yaku. So you've got to make your hand work another way in order to qualify as a winning hand. And there's so many Yaku. There's like 580 billion of them. And it's just like, I don't know how you keep track of all of that. Like, I don't know how you keep track of all that. Like, like the game that we are playing keeps track of all that shit. Like if you go to highlight a tile and you're trying to make it a winning tile, it'll be like, you don't have any Yaku that will make this tile playable, and things like that. Like, that shit, super great. Like, when you're dealing with, like, video Mahjong, it's fantastic. Like I said, we're playing Mahjong Soul, and I've put in, I've done, like, I don't know, I've probably played 2 or 3 hours of that, and it's been really fun. So it's like I'm still learning, but it's something different. It's something like, so hopefully, like I said, myself, Zelos, Sayara, and Ghosty can get together and get some full games going sometime of just 4 people who are just absolute crap at it. It'll be absolutely amazing. But and I think that, like, you have to kind of get used to just like, oh, it's really just like poker where you're just going to get shit for hands most of the time. It's not like the anime where every hand is fucking gold and every round is just action, like nonstop fucking action. It's literally just like, okay, I'm literally trying to get rid of my
straight flush, Mr. Bond.
There you go. I'm trying to just throw my entire hand in the garbage can. Like you're gonna end up with rounds like that, but. Absolutely, like it's been fun learning this. I'm going to continue to do it because it's been really cool. So yeah,
and then we're going to watch Saki,
and then we'll watch Saki because I'll understand it,
and I'll have the anime girls to look at,
and you'll have there you go.
I think pretty much any time we pick up any interest that is not a piece of media is a win.
Absolutely. Like, I want to actually be good enough sometime to actually sit down and play an actual game of Mahjong with actual pieces and people. Like, that is an ideal goal for me. Because
that'll be so fun.
I really love Mahjong sets. Like, I've seen so many of them in my time. I've held them. They're they're really nice little pieces of work. In craftsmanship, if you're dealing with like more expensive sets and tiles, like they just feel really nice in your hand. They feel good to smack down. It's just a really cool thing. So like, yeah, like the ideal setting is like, yeah, I'd like to move beyond playing this online sometime at some point. That would be a cool little goal to have. Yeah, and like you said, like it's.
Well, that's what I mean. It's still like it's a real life thing. Even if you're playing the virtual version right now, it's not just
I'm doing
like
it
another
in
video
service.
game, another
I'm
anime
doing it,
or whatnot.
Yeah, I'm doing it in service to like I want to actually play this with people sometime. Like I do plan on visiting Japan someday, and like going to a mahjong parlor and actually playing with people would be rad.
Oh my god!
Oh, wouldn't that be cool?
Like that would be so rad.
The fucking dream.
Yeah. So like,
and then
I think that's. I think
have been playing for 60 years and they just fucking destroy you.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine.
Wouldn't that be satisfying?
That'd be satisfying. Yeah, like it would be totally fine. I wouldn't be bothered by that. It's the experience. Like, it's like even just playing the online version, you get it's just kind of the experience of being there and kind of just playing this game with people, and like it's really weird and kind of relaxing in a way that I wasn't expecting, because like things that just involve luck tend to drive me fucking nuts. But this doesn't drive me fucking nuts yet. Yet! I'm sure I will yeet my computer out the moment like Sayara rones me and takes 25,000 points. So I'm sure that'll happen at some point. And then I will yeet Sayara out a fucking window.
I think this totally rules, Polly. I'm excited to see the journey continue.
Yeah, like this has been fun, and I'm eager to do it some more. So
yeah, thanks for sharing it with us too.
I've only seen mahjong in the Yakuza video games, and they don't teach you anything.
The funny thing is, it's like all like every YouTube video that I found for mahjong was either like we're gonna like everybody's watching sake and they love it, so they want to understand mahjong, and then there's like the other 90% where it's like, oh, it's in Yakuza, nobody understands it, but they want trophies.
It was just frustrating because, like, again, that Yakuza games have a shitload of mini games, but at least like they teach you how to play them. With mahjong, they just don't even like try, so you just see like these tiles, and I just have no idea where to even start.
Yeah, it's like it's. I imagine that it's something that's so ingrained in Japanese culture that they feel they don't have to explain it. And like maybe for the U.S. version they should have like a set of rules. But I think that mahjong is actually starting to catch on a little more, because there's a Switch game that came out, and I have the DS version of it too. It's called Clubhouse Games.
Oh, right, I remember that.
And they've got a really comprehensive Riichi Mahjong version of in there that's actually really, really well done. So, but I see more people like I did just a tertiary search on Twitch the other night and saw like, oh wow, there's like 7 or 8 people here playing the Mahjong game. Like, oh, that's actually really cool.
Aww.
So it sounds like people are kind of like starting to kind of gravitate a little more toward it, and maybe it's not gonna be this weird confusing puzzle box that we've made it out to be, because like once you get the basics down, I think that it's easier to kind of start understanding. Like once you start playing, it makes a lot of sense. You might not understand all of the winning conditions right away or what's making your hand what it is, but I feel that things like Mahjong Soul are like actively teaching you that, and they actually have like a list of all of the valid Yaku on their site, so you can look at it and say, okay, that's a rule, that's a rule, that's a rule, and you can just like keep some of them in your head and try to work towards that. But again, you can always just win by just never opening your hand if you want to play that way too. So yeah, that's been a fun little experience. Speaking of experience and experiments, so what is? Let me ask the both of you a question, and I bet you can answer it right away. Our community has one game that feels like literally everybody except the 3 of us plays on a regular basis. It floods your it floods your timeline every day. You've no doubt had to listen to people talk about it, not knowing what the fuck they're talking about, but being very happy for them in the process.
Of course.
Do either of you two
for the world they get to enjoy.
Do either of you two know what that game might be?
I think I do.
You think you do? What about you, John?
I think I do.
All right, both of you answer
I think
at
I
the same
do.
time.
Final Fantasy 11.
It's Final Fantasy 14.
Nailed it, Rhett.
11.
Nailed it, Rhett!
I can never forget 11.
You can
'Cause it
never
is-
you can never forgive 11.
Yeah.
I had a really funny vision because they announced that there was new 11 content coming out like
What
20
the
years
fuck?
in.
What
Yeah,
the
it's still
fuck?
going good.
How is that still a thing?
And I thought, wouldn't it be funny in a contrarian asshole way if I got pretty into Final Fantasy 11 for a little bit?
Oh my god. That would be and you should do it at the exact same time that I started playing Final Fantasy 14.
Yes.
The right one.
So
Sounds like it.
So Square did this crazy thing with, I think it was patch 5.3, where they've had a pretty generous offering for their trial up until now. But now it's like literally the most generous trial. Like you can literally probably play this game for like 70 hours and never have to pay for a thing. Like it's
Yeah,
literally
it's
like it is a whole ass experience. I think that you can play all of the content up through the end of Heavensward.
It's like it's the entire Realm Reborn game and the entire first expansion.
Yeah, and you can play up to level 60.
That's wild.
There are very, very, very few restrictions on what you can and can't do in game. Like I've run into a couple of things where it's just like, okay, they won't let me use that, but it makes sense that why they wouldn't let you use that because it's probably something that scammers could use to, like.
Is it like trading money?
It's trading money and things like that.
Yeah.
And you can't like get housing and things like that. But that's fine, you know. Like as a trial player, I am not even at a point where I need to even be thinking about housing. So I tried this a couple years ago. I got to like level 10 or so, and I was just like, okay, I'm sorry, video game, you're not for me. Like we're like I got nothing against you. You're just not the kind of video game that I like playing, and that's fine. So
I just can't deal with dual analog controls.
Yeah, that's
not my thing.
Exactly. Remember those days? Remember those days when I was a baby about analog controls?
Yes.
God, I was
Continue.
I was such a whiny fucking baby. God. Like what the fuck was my
Unlike now.
Unlike now, like I'm totally
Still dropping like an 8 tweet thread. I just don't understand MMO combat.
John, you're rushing it. You're rushing it, John. You're rushing it. You're rushing it. So,
Continue.
So, thanks to this generous new trial, I was like, I'm gonna do it again because they're giving away so much of this fucking game that I feel that just like having it on your hard drive and just seeing like, okay, what is this really about now? Like, I feel you're giving me a lot of the game to look at here. Why not? So throw it on.
Is this after they did the patch that cuts a ton of the?
Yes.
I think this was the same
tedious
patch.
quests.
This is the same patch where apparently they've taken all of the Realm Reborn stuff and kind of sped it up a bit so that you can start getting to the Heavensward stuff, which is where that game kind of like, I'm just here for Ishtola. That's why I'm here.
That's my understanding is that Realm Reborn has like a nice payoff, but there are a lot of bullshit quests in the main story.
Okay, so I start playing
some of that.
I start playing the video game. I start punching things because that's what you do as my class. You punch things.
She punched.
She punch. I would love this
You
game.
pugilize them.
Yes, I pugilize
Not
them.
knowing what that word was.
It's so official sounding. Is it pugilist? It's such a good word. So, started playing, and at that particular night, I was already not in the greatest of moods. So I immediately bounce off. I bounce off of this video game in a real violent way, where it's like, I literally feel like I'm dying a slow death through insanity, trying to understand the inanities of MMO video games.
You made some tweets, and John was like, don't think she's talking about anything specifically, and I just immediately DM you. You tried Final Fantasy 14 again, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And so everybody's just like, well, that's the end of that. Next day. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody, guess what? I happened. That's what... when you poly a video game, it means you get very, very angry at it, and you hate it, and you swear it off, and then you go play it the next day.
You tsundere it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I tsundere it pretty hard. See, like, my issue with playing the game, like Carmichael mentions in the chat, that, yeah, like, I'm playing a pugilist, and it is actually a pretty technical class. Like, you've got to be aware of your positionals and everything. Like, it's very Xenoblade-ish in a way, where you've got to be aware that, like, you know, like, this attack works best from the flank, this attack works best from the back.
I don't know what that comparison means, but okay.
I don't know what that comparison is either.
It's funny because when I first played Xenoblade, I was like, "Oh, this is like Final Fantasy 11."
Oh,
because the thief class in that was entirely about backstabs and side stabs. Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, Shulk is the thief in this. Cool." Like I had a point of reference.
Yeah. So, like, it wasn't that stuff that was getting to me. I actually liked that part of it because it made me feel like I was like, okay, I've got to dance around. Like I can't when you're solo, that stuff doesn't work. You can't make the positional stuff work because it's just you pulling aggro. But I can see, like, how in a dungeon setting, like, okay, like, if I'm DPSing, I can just dance around enemies all fucking day and make this cool stuff work and make the sparks fly and all that stuff happen. What ground me to paste was just like, oh, man, it's these quests, and it's this map that is a little hard to read at times, and, that just kind of, like, got on my nerves, where it was just like, I'm not in the mood to try and parse all of this shit right now. And that they throw so much shit at you up front, too. It's like, hey, there are crafting classes and all of this stuff that you probably don't want to pay attention to right now. And I just kind of felt like maybe in their rush to get me through the A Realm Reborn stuff, they might have thrown a little too much at me initially. But to make a long story short, because this story isn't actually very long right now, I'm like right out. I'm parked.
It's an ongoing journey.
It's an ongoing journey. I'm parked outside the first dungeon right now.
Oh my god! How long have you been parked there?
Well, I didn't have any. I didn't have any time to play it this week. I've actually. It's been a pretty busy week, so I just didn't bother. And after we did Higurashi streams, I was just like, I'm kind of already just ready to chill for the evening. So yeah, I'm gonna try and do that. I don't know. Like I gotta report a midday podcast tomorrow, so I might just try and do it after that or something. I know a couple of people that have kind of offered, like, hey, like if you want your first dungeon experience to be a little lighter with people, you know, like we'll hook you up. So yeah, that could help.
If he is just chomping at the bit, like, please play with me, please play with me.
I don't know that we can play together.
I think she said something like there's a mode where, like, it won't de-level her, so she'll just go in and fucking wreck everything for you.
Yeah, like that. Like I'm not gonna learn how to play the dungeons if that happens though. I need to actually, like, you know, like this is me diving in and trying to, like, okay, I'm gonna understand this. Like, even if I end up coming out of the other side not liking this, at least I'm gonna understand more what people like about it. Like, because right now it's just like, well, I'm just like the crappy MMO character where I got all my crappy looking gear and everybody's running around. They've got, like, cool shit. Everybody looks sexy, and I just look like, oh, look, here's my 15th trash bag plus 12 that I found.
Yeah, when do you get... All I know about this game is when do you get the swimsuits?
Like, I don't want the swimsuits. I just want cool looking shit.
I want the swimsuits.
Okay. I'll get the swimsuits for you. And I'll use... But it's just like... Yeah, like when do I get cool looking gear? When do I get glamours? What the fuck are glamours? I don't even know what that does yet. I know that I have the ability to do it. I have no idea how to do it because the explanation wasn't very good.
I think I literally don't know. I think glamours are just like fashion sets you can.
Yeah, you can take like any. I think it's like any gear that you've already had in your inventory.
Oh.
You can cast a quote unquote spell on your current armor and just make it look like that. But like they're bad. They do a bad job of explaining dyes and glamours. Like I have the ability to do those things, but they've just done a bad job at explaining them. So I'll just have somebody kind of walk me through that when I get to that. But yeah, first order of business right now, first dungeon, and continue on with the A Realm Reborn story. which it's starting to kind of go somewhere. When do I meet Ishtola? Can I just meet and hang out with her for a lot? Like, I just want to do that. Like, that's the way I look, man, I started playing a game because Ishtola is really cool.
That's amazing.
That's really the only reason I went back. I'm so dumb.
Life is good.
It's 2020.
It's 2020. You have to
hang out with the virtual cat girl.
Hang out with the virtual cat girl. Like, man, get any kind of goodness.
Sometimes you just fucking need it.
No, if I would have started in Limsa, she would have been my companion instead of the crappy guy that I have. Shit, now I gotta start all over. A Simp Reborn.
I laughed very hard at that.
Thanks to Sayara in the chat for that one. But yeah, this is an experiment that is going to continue. I just need to run that dungeon. Then I can actually continue. I guess
it's kind of funny though that you posted the duty finder like a week ago.
Yeah, I know. I posted the duty finder a week ago and was like, I need to do this dumb dungeon, and then life gets in the way. I'm just like,
I have to play with other people.
Uninstall immediately. Anyway, that's an ongoing thing. I don't think that it's terrible. Like, I'm not hating my time with it. So
every time I look up raid videos, I just literally don't know what is happening in the combat in that game.
Well, I mean, I think that that's the case for any MMO if you really think about it. Because, like, if you go look at high-level WoW play, I'm pretty sure right now...
WoW play looks exactly like the same,
MMOs.
Yeah, like, it wouldn't make a whole lot of fucking sense at this point, I don't think. But I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm wondering if this is going to end with me actually buying and going in on at some point. Like, it's an interesting thought, like, because, like, I'm here to give it an actual chance. I'm here to not, like... I don't want to come in here and just, like, shit on it. Like, I just kind of want, like, man, it's 2020. Like, everything's bouncing off. The weirdest shit's happening. Everybody's dying. It's miserable. I think you gotta fucking try. Yeah.
This is going to be a trend in this episode, I think. There's a thing of, like, people kind of want to play long-form comfort space games right now, either an MMO or just JRPGs in general.
Yeah,
does that feel a little on the nose for you guys right now?
You think that might be a bit of a running theme, Rhett? You think that it might?
Yeah.
Can I tell you the cursed thing about what everything Polly just said?
Oh no.
It made me want to pick Fate Go back up.
Oh, no,
that's not what I was
see living.
We're really living in the worst.
Because it's that. It's that. It's totally that. Fate Go is totally that. I like the systems are fun in Fate Go.
Langrisser looks way more interesting.
It's cool that your English language gotcha is still up and running.
Like Reds has died. Sayara's just died. It's now a terminal cancer patient.
I'm sorry, Sayara.
It's man. Everything is bad, and I know that was a terrible thing to say. Apologies. I shouldn't have worded it like that. I'm the worst.
I think you good. Thank you for catching yourself.
I'm the worst.
I think you caught yourself, and that makes it okay. And that's okay. Lots of love, John. Don't let the state of the world make you pick up Fago. The thing is.
Yeah.
I have another friend that also hates Fago, but also is in it because they want that good Nasu writing, and they just got to the end of Camelot, and they said. It was good.
Did you just
it actually was. It was fucking good.
Did you just say good Nasu writing? Did you just say that? Did you just say that on
the stuff that we're suffering through all this Higashide bullshit.
You said good Nasu and writing on my fucking podcast in that fucking
I'm pretty sure they don't let him do all that bullshit that he does in the original novels in the mobile game.
It is relatively an improvement over the Fate spin-off writers that are writing the early Fate Go stuff.
Please tell me it's at least less rapey.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't let him do that in the mobile game.
Yeah, I don't think they have, not in my experience thus far.
Okay, you know what?
I'll work some bullshit in.
I'm okay with it. That, like, look, It's 2020, everybody.
We're just gonna keep saying that.
Like, that's your fucking theme, okay?
2020, live your indulgence in your safe space because everything is awful.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I can't do FF14 dailies on the bus.
Oh.
See, I'm not even
That's a
worried
nice
about
plus.
the dailies part of this video game. I'm here because everybody's like, the story's good, so I'm chasing the story nodes. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to build my character. I'm building my character, and
that was my damage with Fate Go.
Oh.
Is that I was just reading the story, but then I got to a point where I could no longer progress in the story without actually engaging with the MMO stuff. And then I was like, oh no! And then I've been struggling to learn that language of, I need to collect these resources. These resources are only accessible on Tuesdays when I play this event.
See, I don't think anything in Final Fantasy XIV gets that fucking bad, because this is an actual paid video. This is a paid video game with a subscription model. I don't think they can go as crazy as they do in free-to-play mobile games.
Let me tell you about the bullshit Final Fantasy XI poll. They've learned their lesson.
Oh. You have dailies and weeklies, that's it. Boom. Easy. Easy! I can do this. I can play...
That's all I think of is.
Me sticking with this is really just... I said this on Twitter, and it's probably got more truth to it than I would care to admit. I don't like it when a video game makes me feel stupid. I need to be smarter than the fucking video game, and that's really what happened with Final Fantasy XIV. That's what happened with Final Fantasy XIV. It made me feel stupid, and I got angry about it.
Oh my god, and that's so on point, because that's the same thing that makes me get mad at games. Life is good.
Yeah, it's good. What can you do? What can you do? So we will probably hear more.
Play MMOs.
Play MMOs, mobile games, and yeah, right.
I'm feel torn by this game because I could see getting into it if the story's really good. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure I want to play an MMO again.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that you kind of got to deal with. Is like, yes, this plays like an MMO.
The way people talk about this game, where they're like, best Final Fantasy story ever, best Final Fantasy ever, like, it's crazy.
That's always been the thing. That has always been the thing. That has always been why I've been attracted to this game. It's the way people so passionate. I don't hear people talk passionately about World of Warcraft or Ion or Terra like this. This is the only MMO I hear people talk about so fucking passionately.
I know, the thing about like long form games like this is that the fan base is always angry and hates it, and actually this doesn't actually seem the case in this one.
This is the entire opposite, where I've never seen a community seem so outwardly fucking overjoyed with the video game that they're playing.
Like, you talk to like Destiny players and they all hate Bungie forever.
Oh yeah. You talk to WoW players and they all understandably hate.
To Fate Go players.
PSO2.
Oh boy, PSO2.
Yep. So yeah, like, that's always been something that I've always been drawn to for this game, and like, I always feel like I always get that FOMO, fear of missing out, because everybody's just like everybody I know and whose opinion I really respect. And that's the thing. It's like, it's always from people that I respect, who like I really want to listen to those people. And it's like, but it's an MMO.
Yeah. It's this just massive asterisk.
Yeah.
But it's an MMO.
Is there a big map?
Especially when Shadowbringers came out, though, and people were just
huge maps in this video game.
I do like exploring in video games. Me and John made the same point there.
Yeah, that is like I was considering jumping in like several months ago. It is because I was thinking, I'd love to just kind of explore a big map.
And
I'd love to have a story quest that just drags me around a big old RPG map.
And Carmi has a good point. Right now, I know they're running their thank you for giving us another chance and playing our game in-game event, because this game, as we all know, had a very disastrous launch in its original incarnation. Mm-hmm. And then A Realm Reborn changed everything. Like, they if you NoClip did a documentary on Final Fantasy XIV that's really extensive. And that's sort of where I got a lot of my that's where I got a lot of my context for how this game kind of started and where it ended up and the way it is now. But yeah, like the Square is just like the big turn that they pulled on this game, and like the amount of resources invested in doing it when they could have just let it fucking die, because it would have been cheaper to do so, but they stuck with it. And like, man, like there's a lot. This game has a lot going for it, just in terms of both the company's dedication to making sure that it is a quality product, and the fan base that is just fucking devoted. And a part of me just kind of was like, I feel really left out for some reason, and I want to experience a part of this.
I'm not going to install it right now because Polly will quit. Like, Polly will get mad a week later. Like, oh, actually, I hate this. I don't want to jinx it.
But yeah, that's
life is good.
That's my first batch of thingamadooders. Y'all want to take a 5-minute break?
I think yes, please. I was about to say. I think both of those things are cool because they are they're both basically trying for a new kind of experience.
Yeah.
You know, like the Mahjong is a new kind of experience.
I know, Polly gets into MMOs and Mahjong. Like,
what a weird episode.
Yeah. It's 2020.
All right, folks.
Like
we'll be right back in a few.
Okay.
I think we got a new Contra world record.
I'm back.
I think we got a new Contra world record.
What?
Lanx, he's frame counting it now. I'm watching his stream.
Of course it was him, yeah.
Well, who else? I
mean, that's the thing about that new skip is like a second and a half.
It's a second and a half. All he's got to do is nail the fucking one cycle on the base 2 boss once and finish the run, and he's got it.
Fucking summoning salt is like jinxing himself now.
Oh no! I don't know. That Ninja Gaiden record's sticking. I don't know.
Not all the time.
Retro Runner might catch Arcus if Arcus just never plays the game again.
But just like a pretty big skip.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
Like hours after the video goes up is just kind of wild.
Yeah, like I'm looking at it now, and it looks like he's frame counting. I'm gonna send a message.
Did you see the art that Sayara?
Yes, it's so good.
That's so quick.
Oh man.
I'm here.
Yo, John, how's it going? We were just spying on Angry Lanx.
I know, that's so fucking cool.
I think he just got another world record based on the new skip. I think somebody timed it in chat. It might be a 9:50:55 though.
There we go.
Guess who opened a new tab?
Who opened a new tab?
It was me.
Why does it close the call if you open a new tab?
It moves it over,
and
then I see the error message. I see the message and go, "Oh shit!" and then close the one that does have the.
You were a dummy.
I closed the new tab, which is where it has moved to.
Oh.
So then I go back to the old tab and it doesn't work, so I have to refresh.
Oh.
So
Rhett, what can I do? What can I do to just get you to download the fucking desktop app?
do I just say watch Symphogear? I mean, that would do it.
Oh God, nope. I ain't making that. Making that commitment. All right.
The G wall. Who can get past the wall of G?
No, we know the answer now.
Yep.
It's not.
It's not
It's
either.
not me and Polly.
No, it was Zalaz.
It was Zalaz. How far did Zalaz get?
She finished it.
What?
The whole thing.
The whole thing?
Yeah, she's done.
Hey, Polly, it's not actually that long. It's like
it really seems
3
like
more
it.
seasons. Like I could if I was like committed, I could chew through the rest in like 3 days.
I could probably.
Oh, I don't think you don't want to watch a season a day. That's a lot.
I'm aware. I'm just saying that it's not actually very
technically.
much. I don't want to.
I've seen like 16-year-olds do watch starts where it's like, okay, I watched G yesterday. I'm going to watch GX today. Okay, I'm starting Axis. Like, what the fuck? Like, I watched the whole series in 17 hours or whatever, or however theoretically quick you could actually watch it.
I would never engage with the show that way.
Yeah, even me, I took like at least a week between each season because I was like waiting for the podcasts because I didn't want to just burn it.
That was
through.
very
God.
And then I started,
Yeah, I think the only time I remember you kind of chewing through a show was Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann was an event.
Oh, I did that one in 2 days.
I did.
Oh yeah.
It was like Saturday night into Sunday morning. The whole thing.
Yeah.
With a little sleep in between.
Yeah. Man, I'm trying. I can't think of like the last time I marathoned a show like that. I went that fucking ham on it. Because it's something that's like only 12 episodes. I don't think counts because I watched like The Place, the Place Promised in our I watched that the Place Beyond the End of the World or whatever.
Further than the universe.
I watched that all in one morning, but that's a 12 episode show, so that's like 6
Escaflowne and Genkutsuo. I remember doing that as a kid.
Poor Escaflowne.
Just completely.
Polly does not like Escaflowne.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I noticed a thing when I'm rewatching a bunch of shows at the start of this year is that I'll have an opinion of a show from years past, and then I rewatch it and form a new opinion, and then like a day later, the original opinion has resurfaced and overwrote the new one.
Wow.
So it was like I had kind of a mediocre time rewatching Fate Zero, and then like a day later, I was like, actually, Fate Zero is really good. I'm crazy.
Right.
Like it was so weird.
That's the kind of the nature of the beast sometimes, I guess.
I just find it very hard to change opinions, I guess, in that for media.
Right.
It felt kind of weird.
So, John!
Also, Fate Zero is extremely good, so you're past self.
Also, they literally choked 2 major women to death in like an episode.
I mean, that's why John's watching.
God damn it.
Hey, John.
I'm trying to shift my brand.
John, do you want to talk about stuff that you've done?
Yes. Okay.
All right.
So
let's
change the subject. So, long RPGs that are chill and make you feel good to play.
Right.
So there's that, but also there's like, God damn it, in the chat. But also there's long games are really nice because you can just kind of get into a space and you get a certain emotional heft to a story that takes a certain amount of time just because you're kind of committing so much of yourself to it. I think it kind of makes big catharsises kind of land a little harder.
Yeah.
And that's something we all love is like big VNs, big RPGs.
Yeah, like we want this shit to go big and absurd. Right.
Yeah. But then also, it's nice that means that when you're jumping into a new one, that's not by a creator you're already familiar with, there's a lot more kind of worry and hesitation, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it can be like, oh God, what am I committing to? Is this going anywhere? Is this gonna be like Trails, or is this gonna be like Suikoden?
Two ends of the stick.
But something I realized the other day is that I've gotten through like basically 6 like big long games this year, and all 6 of them were from artists that I hadn't really directly engaged with before.
Right.
So like I played all of Queen's Wish: The Conqueror, which is the new Spiderweb Software CRPG, and I loved it. I had a great time with it. I played Tales of Vesperia, and I had an okay time with it. I really loved the characters. I played all of Silas, which I hadn't played a long Tom game like that before. Knights of the Old Republic, completely new to me dev. Higurashi, Question Arcs. I'd never read a Ryu Kishi thing. I'd watched the anime, but I'd never read one of the ends. And then I played another new to me game from a new to me artist. And I think the thing about this is that it's very nice when these pay off well, because when I play a new Trails game, I'm not, and it's good, I'm not really expanding my treasure trove of experiences I get to enjoy in the future that I'm confident I'll have a good time with. Like, I'm pretty much at this point, I'm here for Trails. I'm here for Falcom.
You're not being surprised that this is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm not being surprised, and it also isn't opening up my world anymore. Like, if I get into a strategy RPG and love it, then that expands my world, because now suddenly maybe I can jump into all these other strategy RPGs I've been ignoring all this time. And that's what it was like with Queen's Wish, where I was like, oh shit, I'm enjoying a very traditional Western RPG. This is nice. Or I enjoyed a BioWare game. And I think it was in that spirit where I was like, okay, this is a long thing, but I really want to just see if this is the next thing that I can really connect with. And I started Xenoblade a month ago.
A commitment and a half.
I never saw this.
Yeah, and I've also
you sent a tweet in October last year that I stumbled upon recently where you said, "Don't worry, there is no risk of you spoiling Xeno content for me because you were so disinterested in it.
Yeah.
And it's a commitment, and also I haven't dropped any games, almost any games.
Was this the dare to see if you drop Xenoblade?
Basically, I was like, well, we'll see if this one sticks. And then it stuck.
I was not.
And I played it. It
expecting
took about a month. It took about a month, and it was about the same amount of time it took me to play Ys 8 or Trails 3rd, and I got through it.
This was
I took a break in the mid. Yeah, Polly?
This was a shock to me. What?
This is so different from how I talked about Xenoblade on the podcast, which was the 3-year gap in the middle. You're just coming saying you played it and then you finished it.
Yep.
That never happened.
I know, you could have actually brought it up.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think you're laughing because there's a number of things about it that make it a little bit out of my wheelhouse. It's very long. It's very much an MMO type thing.
It's expensive.
There's a lot of... What'd you say?
It's expensive.
Say it one more time.
It's expensive.
It's
It's triple A.
It's a 10-year-old AAA game. Those don't count.
Your entire
it's
brand
Nintendo.
is
It's Nintendo.
Your entire brand is you hate Nintendo. And Vor. That's your brand.
So, 2 things Rhett told me. Rhett told us was that this game goes extremely hard at the end, which is a plus for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished Wonderful 101, and Rhett had made that same promise for Wonderful 101.
Yeah.
And it delivers quite a bit. So I was like, okay, I'm on the same page as Rhett here. I'm on the same page as Rhett with this stuff. And so I went into it pretty confident that if I got to the end, I would probably be decently satisfied with it.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of figuring out the fighting and navigating all the MMO stuff. And one thing this game does right away is it makes a very strong impression with the story. All of the cutscenes are just really, really gorgeous.
They're
and
amazing.
Mm-hmm. The robots, oh my god. The way the robots are animated in this is next level. They're so pretty. It's so scary. They set up a credible threat right away in the story.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I was constantly comparing that in my head with Tales of Vesperia, because it was the other big, long RPG from around that time period I played. In Tales of Vesperia, I loved all the characters and had really connected with them, but the story, never really set the stakes in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
I never really felt like anyone was growing in, except in sort of a loose, plotless way.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like AU coffee shop AU fanfic. was the general vibe.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
I get why people connect with that, but that's not generally what I'm engaging with long form stories for.
Yeah.
Is extended, light, fluffy character interactions that are cute and nice, and watching people kind of gently grow, not from big dramatic choices they're making, but just sort of watching them change slowly over the course of 60 hours of fucking about. And none of the act breaks really landed for me, and the story and the resolution was oh, that was cute, that was nice. Yeah. I like that. They set up 2 characters as rivals, and then they never actually clash. They never, even though they're completely ideologically divided. One's a cop and one's Antifa, but then they never actually clash.
Yeah.
They're pretty much always on each other's the whole game.
I want to say until Berseria, you're not gonna really get real conflict in that series.
Jeez.
Yeah. They just the game wants you to like both of them.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So they aren't willing to make any of them do anything that wrong, and they're not willing to make them clash or fight that much. Yeah. so that was like the big disappointing thing to me with Tales of Vesperia, is that it was very much lacking that kind of real substantive conflict. Even the villain, like, is ultimately like a nice person that you like, and then they resolve things basically peacefully. Like, it's very warm, but it's very different from like Trails' warmth, which cuts it with real drama. There's nothing like, you know, Trails SC Chapter 6 ending on the beach. Ooh. There's nothing like Trails FC's ending.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's just very toothless.
So, yeah, and I get that why people connect with that, but I never have. Yeah. I've never been able to vibe with that kind of storytelling. It just doesn't. And that left me feeling like I finished Tales of Vesperia with like a really big smile on my face, and then like gradually got more and more sour. Like, what did I spend 60 hours on? Fuck.
Yeah.
Because the fighting.
You should have played that game in 2020.
Clear, I did, but I should have played it in the real when things were really dark. So Xenoblade sets the stakes right away in a pretty grim way, and then things keep going from there, and it has genuinely scary villains and credible threats, and the characters who have a clear idea of where they're coming from and what drives them. Mm-hmm. They are not fleshed out emotionally in the same way that a Tales or a Trails character is, because there are very few cutscenes in this game for a game of this scope. It is pretty much, there are a lot of this game was like, have a really dramatic, effective cutscene, and then you go around doing MMO stuff in a big ass map for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then really big dramatic cutscene, and then because the MMO stuff does not have much like actual character writing in it, it can't use downtime to flesh out the characters.
Yeah,
there's basically not enough coffee shop AU content in this game. Like, it's all big conflicts, and the characters are all just kind of thin sketches as a result.
I think one of the biggest flaws in this game I remember is that there are those moments of like cute little character interactions, but they're all like locked behind your affinity being like super duper high.
Oh yeah, that shit
never got me.
Exactly. You like literally never do any of them. Like, I think I got one in like the cave towards the start of the game at like level 70, and I was like, oh, that was cute. I wish I could read the others. Like, I don't understand that. Like, some of that stuff
was a mistake.
It's like it's there, but it's so buried, like between behind grinding and MMO stuff.
A lot of the way that game is structured and how it deals with its story stuff feels like a reaction to the way some people reacted to what Xenosaga was. And that those games are big on cutscenes and talking and character interactions. And that game feels pretty reactionary
to that.
Yeah,
like, this is very much gameplay. Like, there's a lot of MMO fighting.
There's a lot of fighting in this game.
There is so much fucking fighting in this game. Another thing Rhett told me going into it was that the bosses felt very substantial to him. Like, you repeatedly got, like, you hated the fighting, but all the bosses were really hard. So you kind of liked the fighting, because every big story victory felt meaningful to you, right up to the end of the game.
Especially that last third of the game or so, like, from where I picked it up, and, like, every boss at that point just kicked my ass.
Yeah, which is basically my experience. Like, they, especially right near the end, I had to grind for, like, 2 hours to beat the final boss, and that felt kind of good, in a way.
Except for the part where you got to the final boss and then had to back out because it's a point of no return, so you had to reload your save. That seemed like it would have felt pretty awful.
I stopped for the night at that point.
Yeah, that would have been my stop point too.
Yep, I was like, well, and I went up 2 levels, and then I did again, and I won.
That last dungeon, I spent so long in there just making sure I was ready.
Yeah, that's wise. I should have waited, maybe done a little bit harder. I did. The thing is, I did do a little like grinding and prep, and it just wasn't enough.
Did you try playing as Melia?
No, I caught Ricky instead.
Ricky. Hey, Polly, I heard you
That's
really
it.
love the Nopon.
See, this is why I don't think I can ever play these games. It's because I fucking hate Nopons. I cannot stand them. They are the worst fucking Like, God, get out of my fucking... I hate them so.
They're hilarious.
I have such a hatred and disdain for them. Anytime one is on screen, I literally want to chew rocks. Just Jesus Christ.
Hey, John, you know how Ricky's like actually really cool? The Nopon you get as the party member.
There's a line where Ricky says, "You are the real hero, Pon."
Aw.
Shulk. And then I thought, like, I'm going to carry that, and when I am in a dark spot, I'm going to hear, "You are the real hero, Pon," John, and it's going to make me feel good.
So Ricky's awesome. The Nopon that joins your party in Xenoblade 2 is a pervert.
Oh, he's real bad.
Oh, no!
He's not cool at all. Polly loves him.
He is actively gross. He's actively building a lowly fuckbot.
He is gross anime cliche, the character, and it's a Nopon, so it's super weird.
It's double bad.
No, Ricky's great. He's
Ricky's
a dad.
Great. Tora is not.
Tora is not good.
Okay, that sucks.
It's like they just they took
noted.
Ricky and just inverted everything to make this character.
Yeah.
Then Teddyified him.
Oh god, he's so bad. He like continues to keep. He continues calling he continues calling Morag a man despite the fact that she's a woman.
Wait,
it's just like,
oh no, I didn't. See, I never actually used.
I saw a lot of that.
That's
just like, dude, and she like very, very actively threatens him at some point. It's like, you little motherfucker need to fucking stop.
Oh, I feel bad bringing him. I didn't know how gross they got with him.
Yeah, he's pretty shitty.
Yeah, that sucks.
So Polly loves the Nopon.
Oh yeah, my favorite.
Basically,
I swear, I think it's a DLC thing, so I didn't have it. There's like a Nopon that is a big fan of Pyrrha, and he just has a shirt with her picture on it.
That's pretty funny.
I think a funny thing with this, I think another thing I noticed was that after the Hyantia stuff, Melia just doesn't talk for like 15 hours. Like they just don't have anything for her to do in the big story cutscenes, and I don't see any of the. And I wasn't having in my party, and I wasn't doing the heart to hearts, so she just left the game for about 15 hours.
Wow!
For me. She actually she started talking in the cutscene, and I was like, "Whoa,
hey,
about you?
Hey, nice.
You were really important a while ago." So I think that contributes to the characters also feeling really thin. And I'm glad that it's only 7 characters. I think that helps.
Yeah.
I think that they are all pretty one note, but they hit the note nicely, and you know where they're all coming from.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, this game isn't trying to have fleshed out characters, and then it nails its story. And then Tales of Vesperia is trying to have a fleshed out characters and a story, and it doesn't really do the story well. So I came away from that one feeling unsatisfied. But this one, I was like, okay, there are games I can play that will give me more of this other thing, but you accomplished what you were setting out to do, which didn't include this.
Yeah.
Having fleshed out characters, essentially. So my arc with this one was that the first 10 hours are amazing because it's a bunch of the scary, awful robots that literally eat people. Mm-hmm. And it's terrifying. And then there's like 15 hours of just kind of the robots just leave the story for a while, and it just kind of becomes RPG tropes. You meet the High Elves, you meet the Nopon. You have to go to the place to unseal the sword from the legendary giant. Like there's basically a flash forward where they showed you the climax of the arc after 10 hours of the game, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're in the JRPG now. And then we were just in the JRPG for 15 more hours, and it was really shitty that they just showed the climax also, because that sucks a lot of the tension out of that section of the game.
We promise it's still going to be good. We promise. Just stick around a couple more hours. And because it was kind of the boring part already, that made it
that made it like that much harder to deal with.
Yeah.
And then I talked to Tom about it, and he said, "Oh, that's my favorite part of the game."
Of course.
What is it, man?
The real traditional JRPG
Of course.
part.
Of
I
course.
told you Grandia loving fucker.
Yeah. You can trace a lot of that back to games like Grandia. I love Grandia, but don't get me wrong. It is JRPG trope, the video game.
I still think there's a lot of momentum in that early game when you're just seeing new areas. But yeah, once you reach the sea at the top, it really slows down, and that town is like way bigger than it needs to be. It's really big. I remember like reloading my save after a year at some point, and I was in that town. I was just like, oh my god, looking down, like even just it takes like a minute to run anywhere. So it's just like fun.
And because the maps are so big, they just put the next story waypoint on your map at all times. So there's no actual like looking around. The exploring is never part of the core story path.
No,
it's always just something you do for your own sake.
Yeah.
Because it's very pretty. I really like the areas. They're very pretty.
Like even for a Wii game, it's still incredible looking.
It's nuts.
This is my first experience with Dolphin, and I did not know how good Dolphin was. Holy shit!
Oh shit, dude! That is like optimal experience. Like unless you can get a hold of like the definitive version of the game that's out now on Switch. Yeah. Like playing that game through Dolphin.
Like I want to play the definitive version that changes the art. No, thank you.
I'm not a fan of them kind of just using the Xenoblade 2 kind of style where everything's a lot softer and it's got
art style.
It's anime now.
Well, I'm not
as much.
No,
it is anime, and I'm not going to say that in a bad way. It's just I think that I like that they took a stab at a more Western look for that game, and I think that it's really striking. And I think that it's just me. I don't think that those designs transferred well to the new version of the game.
I think
I played a lot of games that look like Xenoblade 2. I haven't played a lot of games that look like Xenoblade 1.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that I got the original version. I think it was the right experience for me.
For me, it's just I always feel super weird when art is changed years after the fact.
Yeah.
Like redesigning those characters 10 years later is like, wait.
Like when they did the Evo versions of Trails and they did those really bad anime portraits that just suck all of the life out of the art. Like,
yeah, it's kind of funny because like both Trails and Ease and Xenoblade all kind of got subsumed into the Tales aesthetic.
yeah, they did.
It's kind of how it looks to me from the outside. Yeah, it's like okay.
I think that's fair.
I still like what they're doing. It's just funny. So it's literally like once you get past that thing that they flash forward to though, and you get to the sword on the arm, they've been like setting stuff up for like 25 hours and then it's 25 more hours of game left and it's just basically paying shit off for 25 hours and it's real good. Like the areas start getting a lot less exploring and more just like straight dungeons with like big story payoffs. And just that whole back half of the game, I just mainlined it. I was just here for it. The second, the final confrontation with Metal Face, and then basically from that onward, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you do know what you're doing. Because the Prison Island stuff, which was the big thing they were building up to, was sort of, thank you, Tengu.
Thank you, Tengu, for farting on the podcast and the 1,000 bits. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much, dude.
Because the big flash thing they were flashing forward to ultimately was sort of like more setups and more questions. And I was like, okay. And then like almost immediately afterwards, they pay off the Metal Face stuff, and then they start just having big climaxes and big conflict resolution, big questions being answered. Yeah. And it just goes for the rest of the game. It's so cool. And it was a good time.
I think mainlining it at that point is kind of feels like they want you to do that because, you know, there's not actually that many towns after that point. Yeah. Because you're just in, you know, enemy territory. Like, it's not really the time to be fucking about with, like, oh, can you kill 3 things to get the carrot?
And the thing is, I enjoyed some of those quests. Like, I would just get every quest and then just wander around exploring and killing stuff for a little while, and I'd get, like, half the quest done.
Yeah.
And and then I would be bored, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm done. I'll move on. I think if I'd known that I was going to like the game as much as I did, I would have spent more time doing that. I think I would have felt comfortable because I was in a little bit of a rush to get to find out if it was going to be good because I wasn't sure. And now that I know, I feel like, okay, I could. It's like in Trails FC where I rushed past a lot of the side quests and even used retry offset in some of the early fights because I didn't really know that I was going to care about the fighting or the game. And then by the time I got to the end, I was like, okay, yep, I took my time a lot more in like SC.
Yeah.
So I think I actually enjoyed a lot of the MMO stuff. I liked exploring the areas. I felt like I had an explosively positive reaction every time I found a secret area. That felt so good. And I basically liked the fighting. Like for the first 10 hours, especially, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm vibing with this. I'm figuring this out. The issue for me. Go ahead.
Well, it's not that the fighting is
Rhett.
bad. It's just that there's so much of it.
There's a lot of it. And for me, the issue was that I fell into a rhythm in a lot of the game where I figured out a strat and I could just do it.
Yeah.
And it worked for most of the game.
I think a lot of the problem is that the random encounters really aren't ever pushing you. They're not really ever hard. So like once you get a couple levels, it's like, okay, now I can just kind of auto battle a lot of these things, and then you hit a boss and you're fucked.
Yeah. So it's a little weird because the way you get past bosses generally is to grind. Like it's not. I don't think it's actually that tactical. There's more to it than
I was like insistent that I'm going to change my party around. I'm going to re-equip everyone. I'm going to figure this boss out, and then that's why they all took me like 3 hours.
And then I just grinded for 20 minutes, and it's like, okay, we're good. There are like 3 last dungeons. There's a bunch of big bosses.
I laughed.
Go ahead.
I like when you were in the second to last dungeon and you called it the last dungeon. I was like, yep, it tricks everybody. Because I was sure that was the last dungeon. And then there's a whole other thing at the end.
I was specifically like, oh, this is such a
thematic conclusion.
This is so unusual. This is so unusual for a JRPG final dungeon. This is so cool. And then you get to the actual last dungeon. It's a little bit more JRPG final dungeon.
Oh, it's extremely traditional. It's funny in how straight they play it.
Yep. The climax with Emil? Was that Emil?
Egil.
I think Egil is very well done, and that has probably the singularly most exciting moment in the game for me.
Yeah, it's real good. Like
it's real good.
The game could have ended there with that, and you'd still feel pretty good about it. I think but then it goes beyond.
Because it plays into the language of the game in an extremely cool, well done way. They mix the story and the fighting in a way that made me very happy.
It's mixing the setting and the future vision stuff, so it's paying off like a lot of things right there.
The last final boss also has a payoff involving the future vision stuff that it's extremely satisfying. Cool. Just not as explosive.
Yeah.
So I got to the end of the story and I was really satisfied. This game goes very hard.
I think I said like no one has ever finished this game because nobody talked about the ending that goes the hardest of anything ever.
Yes. It was interesting because my brain, I've heard a couple people. I heard Polly. I heard a couple other friends talk about that the game was the story was kind of a little basic, a little dumb. Which is fair. I think a friend, at least one friend, called it like shonen anime. I said it felt like a Brandon Sanderson book, which was the same thing.
I think it can be seen as kind of basic because so much of it, like the first like 80%, is just humans versus the mechs. The mechs are bad. We have to stop them.
Yep. I get that. I think the big payoffs also play into some of that. What was happening with me was that I was comparing it in my head with like SNES RPGs. I was comparing with like it's obvious it's doing a lot of Chrono Trigger stuff, like pretty transparently. Just kind of borrowing a lot of concepts from that thematically, and also that's just a very a JRPG story that a lot of folks are riffing on.
Yeah.
And I think for me the big, like, I don't think Chrono Trigger or FF6 or whatnot are that much smarter than like what this is doing.
Yeah.
I think the issue where it feels a little bit slighter is because you don't get as much time with the characters. Because Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy 6 and Final Fantasy 7, all those games, they have those big side quests where you just are like, hey, here's the last third of the game. We're just gonna have you do these side quests that are about evolving a character and bringing their arc to a conclusion. And there's nothing like that in Xenoblade.
Right.
Like they work. They whatever character payoffs they have are worked into the story. Like Melia has one that's really solid. Rhine, kinda, not really. Charlotte, pretty good. Ricky, nah. The spoiler character, whom I love to death, even though she does very little going on. That isn't like big anime conflict. Same with Shulk. So I think that's probably. I think it's the fact that it's telling a story that's sort of like operating on the same wavelength as something like Chrono Trigger or FF6.
Yeah.
But it is 50 to 70 hours long instead of 20 to 30. I think makes it feel a lot more stretched thin, and I think the fact that you don't get as much time with each of these characters, also makes it feel land a little bit less hard than those games. I think the fact that I'm comparing to them at all is a pretty nice compliment.
Yeah, like the fact that you can put them in that same conversation is probably a good thing.
Yeah, versus something like Trails, which is
it's
smarter.
All character stuff.
Yeah, which because they do the character work and they mesh it with a really substantive JRPG story, traditional JRPG story, and then have another story after the JRPG story that's just, hey, let's unpack all that.
Oh, boy.
Let's have 60 hours of really intimate character work, like all JRPGs do.
Yeah.
Along with some strong payoffs and a big climactic last dungeon.
Right.
So that's where it fits in the echelon for me. Is like, this doesn't work for me as well as like the big like SNES and PS1 games because it's way longer, and because of the MMO structure, it's just the story is stretched a lot more thin.
Yeah.
I think the story that's there is just basically rock solid. I really loved it. I really loved all the payoffs. And then I'd probably put Trails like to the side or slightly above those games, because while Trails is much longer, it spends all of that extra length doing that character work.
Yeah.
So I really liked it, and I immediately started Xenogears.
Amazing.
And I'm 8 hours in.
There you go.
Which is fun.
A new record.
And it's funny. And it's funny. And it's funny because Xenogears is a PS1 RPG. So it's way more of an actual. It's way more RPG where you can actually talk to explore the whole town and not get bored.
Yeah.
And talk to everybody. Yeah. And you have to find your own objective. And also Xenogears is much weirder, as I understand it, which is what I was kind of aching for. Yeah. Especially at the halfway point at Xenoblade, I was like, this feels more like a Grandia or a Loot, or like what I'd expect from one of those than what I expect from something with Xeno in the name.
Yeah.
So I'm really ready for weird train wreck.
Yeah, like that's what you can. That's what I would call Xenogears. It is a weird train wreck of a game, but I love it.
Yeah, versus Xenoblade, which is like really solid, but then I think that comes from, in some ways, sort of a lack of ambition.
Yeah, it's what you expect.
Yeah, which, well, it's not quite that, because I don't expect any RPG I sit down with to be this good at what it's doing.
Okay, good point.
Like especially after Tales of Vesperia and Alliance Alive, I played both of those, and I was like, I got to the end, and I was like, all right, you didn't really stick the landing, but I still basically had a good time. And I played a lot of RPGs that are like that, where it's like, okay, didn't really get it all the way there, but I still had a good time all in all. And this just solid. So I really appreciated that about it. And while I do want to get Weird Xeno first, I do also want to play the later Xenoblade games too.
Nice.
Cool.
That's basically everything. Any questions about my Xenoblade experience?
I think Xenoblade 2 is better at character stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think Xenoblade
It's more
1,
interwoven. It's more interwoven
Yeah.
into the story.
Xenoblade 1 just has this momentum basically the entire second half of the game where there's not really any downtime for them.
Yeah.
And I think Xenoblade 2 just has more scenes that are just characters interacting and chilling and talking to each other. Because I remember
The solidity.
I remember near the end of Xenoblade 1, I was just thinking like, man, Ryan is the best friend ever because he's been standing in front of me taking hits for 40 hours and I don't even know why he's here anymore because he hasn't done anything in the story the whole time. He's just
He helps Charla.
I guess.
He has like a nice bro moment with her husband. He's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of her." It's really weird. Also, he slaps Charla, which sucks.
Oh.
Forgot about that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that they like cut away for a second. Like, no, you can't cut away and have that make it okay. Actually,
No,
game.
that
was
doesn't.
shitty.
That doesn't.
Yeah.
That feels more like a Nintendo concession where, like, no, we're not letting you show that.
Oh my god.
Mhm. So that was I forgot to mention that. I was like, oh, that's gnarly. But yeah, that is poor Ryan, poor Melia, poor Ricky. Basically everyone but Shulk and the Fiora. Damn it, Shulk and the spoiler character.
Bleep that.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. They play like a really core part in the climax and whatnot. And everyone else is just kind of along for the ride.
Yeah. Along for the ride is definitely like Riki.
Yeah.
Yes. And like Tales of Vesperia was much better about that because they were like filling in all these details about these characters and whatnot. So it was just kind of fun, like comparing this experience versus all these other long form experiences, because in so many ways they are taking you on the same journey.
Yeah.
And it's just these little bits of the specifics of how they do it that make or break it in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And that kind of distinction is really interesting to me.
Cool.
Yeah. So Xenoblade. Cool. That was my only thing.
Yeah. It's a big thing. It took you a month.
Like it. And look, you took a 3-year journey in a month.
Mm-hmm.
There's
a game that nobody has finished.
No, there's 3 people. You, me, and Jetstorm.
Yeah. 3 people have finished this video game now.
Yeah.
You've joined an elite club.
They called it.
I think it's a pretty elite club. Maybe the remaster will get some more people to finish it. Or they will bounce off the game for a 3rd time. Yeah, I'm surprised John didn't play the handheld version. You could have played this on your new 3DS.
You could have played it on a new 3DS.
Hey.
In 240p glory.
Guess what, Rhett?
Oh, no.
I was homesick the whole time I was playing this. I think I finished like the very end of it right after going back to the office. So I was just like, I was at my house. Was not aching to play this on the bus.
You go back to work and you're just like, wish I was back home playing Xenoblade.
Yeah. And then I finished it like that night.
That's good.
Rhett, what else have you been
played
up to?
Xenoblade.
This is true, you did. I forgot.
It's your fault. Oh, I was waiting for this transition the whole time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew what Rest's next thing was. And I love that it tied so seamlessly.
I know that was a long one. Thank you.
So, as mentioned earlier, I was bouncing off games for like multiple weeks, just not sticking anything. Mm-hmm. And then John's over here playing Xenoblade and having a great time. And finally, I just got in my head of like, I should play Xenoblade. Fuck it.
I can do that.
So I played Xenoblade. Actually, I played 1 and 2 last year.
Yeah.
But I didn't play the expansion for 2, Torna the Golden Country. So I just immediately just went and grabbed that and played it.
Okay.
And I had some issues with it.
Hey. what is Torna
Okay.
the Golden Country though? What is this? Because this is like a standalone game. This isn't just like DLC. It's like its own game.
I mean, it is part of the season pass, which is goofy because, like, I don't even know what the season pass contains besides this. But yeah, this is technically a standalone game. It is a short JRPG that takes place, I think, 500 years before Xenoblade 2. They don't actually ever explicitly say that, but I think that's how long they say it's been in the main game. That always bugged me because 500 years is a long fucking time.
Yeah, that's like I always thought that like when like Lunar 2 takes place 1,000 years after the first. I'm like, man, that's a long time for things to still be real familiar.
Yeah, and that really that's one of the things that bugged me in this. Is like, wow, y'all haven't like advanced technology whatsoever in 500 years. Like everything feels relatively the same here.
Yeah,
And that's a huge bummer.
Yeah.
Where it's like you could easily be like, this was 30 years earlier, not 500. Especially when some of the same characters are in it.
Yeah, it's a real fucking silly.
It's one of those things. This is really goofy. Like maybe that's why they don't say 500 in this, is that they're trying to kind of distance themselves from it and just be like, listen, it's a prequel. We're not gonna worry about some of the numbers. So one of my biggest issues with Xenoblade 2 is that they frequently flash back to this time period and the characters in the from this era. And it always felt like I wasn't getting quite enough of the motivation and story behind these characters. So I thought, I should have played Torna first, and that probably also would have been a mistake because I think I got it in my head that those flashbacks were just straight taken from what they were the side story game they were making. And that's not actually the case. Like, Torna takes place kind of before a lot of those flashbacks. And, like, I don't think it's a prequel, basically. Because I don't think anything that is actually shown in Xenoblade 2 shows up in this. Like, I think it all happens between the two stories.
Yeah.
So that was kind of weird because I was like, oh, this is going to be a tragedy based on how things go in those flashbacks. And then this game is very chill. It's about, exploring an area and doing a lot of side quests, but we'll get to that later. So, I think the issue with having a Xenoblade game that is, made on a budget and made to be 20 hours long instead of 50 or 70 is that the areas in this are just a lot smaller. They don't have that grand epic scope that, especially the first game, but then a lot of the second game has. Like, especially like the first third of this, I was just kind of like, yep, this sure is a very pretty hallway. Like, you start in a forest and it's just kind of one path that heads north, and it's just like, oh, this is a little bit different for a Xeno game. The other thing is that the new area you're exploring in this, which is Torna itself, the country, it's a forest, a desert, and some green fields. It's all just kind of very standard standard Xenoblade. Whereas the actual Xenoblade 2 game, they get pretty wild with some of the designs. And what makes it worse is that the one area from the first game, or from Xenoblade 2, that you go back to in this is the green hill. Rolling hills.
Yeah.
Green forest area. I think it's called Gormott.
Yeah,
like,
Gormott.
Kind of not the greatest name. So, like, they copy paste that one in the game that has probably the most similar area to it already in Torna. And I thought that was a little weird. So you go through a bit of Torna, you go back to Gormott for a bit, and like the town that exists 500 years later, hey, it's not there now. So it is a little bit different. And then you go back to Torna, you go through some new areas, and then you hit the capital. And the game kind of pauses for a bit, and it doesn't give you a main quest objective. And so far, to the point, I was a little disappointed in this game because like the areas aren't huge and super interesting to explore. They're pretty straightforward. And even then, the game has been throwing kind of these obvious stalls at me where it's like, oh, we need to, before we go to the desert, we have to make the anti-desert medicine because we'll die otherwise. And then it's just like, go run around this field and find like the random bullshit that you need to craft the antidote. Or like I'm not sure if this was a side quest or part of the main quest, but there's one that's just like, oh, we need rations to feed our army. Go kill like 10 pigs or something.
Oh.
Like, there's a couple like kind of filler things in there. So like, uh-oh, that's kind of not great.
Giving you a little bit of a weird feeling.
Yeah. And then you hit the main town, and obviously it's pretty overwhelming. Like, it's a huge city. There's lots of NPCs and like side quests on the side. I had kind of decided at this point I was just going to mainline this thing.
Yeah.
Because I really haven't ever felt the side quests that much in the Xenoblade series.
The side quests are not
because they're not based on the characters at all.
Yeah, like they're never.
There's no
good.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the main quest objective disappears.
Oh.
And I was just like, well, okay. I get what the game is doing. It wants me to spend a little time in this town before, blasting off to whatever happens next.
Yeah.
So I do like 4 side quests. And they have this new system in this one where the affinity stuff is kind of more streamlined. It's just called community. And every time you do a side quest for somebody, like, they join your community.
Yeah.
So, like, you do one side quest and it goes, oh, level up to level 1. You need 15 more people to reach community level 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
So I do a couple side quests, and okay, my community is at like 6 people now. 10 more to level 2. And then what happens when you finish the side quest is that it automatically selects the main quest again, but I don't have a main quest right now, and I hit the icon and it says, oh, reach community level 2. And I'm like, oh boy.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
I got like...
They're finally making you actually do the side quests.
They're finally forcing it.
4 games in.
So I grind that out. They're not great side quests. I hit community level 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then a big story moment happens. Like the final boss comes in, there's a whole battle, there's cool shit happening. Then there's a little bit more story stuff that kind of ties into the Xenoblade 2 original stuff. Like they just drop a huge spoiler for Xenoblade 2 kind of casually in this, and it doesn't land at all in the same way. So like that's why you want to play 2 first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then the main quest disappears again.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
So you've only gotten to play for like maybe an hour and a half since grinding out to community level 2.
Oh no.
And this fucking thing, it goes, okay, we need to put the citizens we need to, tend to the citizens.
Allay their fears.
Yeah, allay their fears. Reach community level 4. It fucking skips over 3.
Oh my god. I feel myself turning to stone.
So I was just like, well, this was on like Monday or something. I'm just like, well, I don't know if I'm going to have this finished by the podcast on Saturday.
You sounded kind of done when you were talking to me.
I don't think I've been this mad at a game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
I had a
Especially
friend that was streaming this, got to this point, and just dropped his controller, and his mouth was wide open. What?
Luckily, I had seen a review earlier that said you need to reach community level 4 eventually, and I was just like, so I was prepared for it. I did not expect it to come so immediately after having to reach level 2. Like, they just give you a tiny bit more forward progress and then immediately drop you back in.
Just a little sliver. Just a little taste.
Yeah. And the thing that's really weird is that there's not a whole lot of side quests before you get to this main town. So I don't even think you could hit level 2 prior to being there. And a lot of the side quests towards the end are directly referencing, what has happened in the story so far. So there's really no way to just like keep up on side quests as you play the game because they're all so focused in this last area. That's the other thing that really bums me out is that like you get to the town and that's like you've explored the entire world map at that point. So all these side quests are just going through the previous areas you've been in, and it's just it's so much going to the map screen and fast traveling around. And like also almost no combat at this point because like I think I was like mid-level 40s, which was like just enough to beat the boss beforehand, but all of these quests they're giving me like level 30 enemies or whatever, and I'm just like effortlessly crunching through them and not having any experience. So there was one night, I think, sorry. I think it was Tuesday night. I just sat down and grinded for like 5 hours these side quests. And I was a little surprised I actually got through it that quickly. Because some quests, they will actually have 2 community people join your thing at the end. So some of them go a little bit quicker. There's actually a really good gag where a character dies. And there's as far as I know, a unique screen. Community lost. And they leave you D-level.
Oh no!
I just started laughing at that point because I thought it was a gag, and then it totally is. He comes back. He didn't actually die.
Oh my god, that's really good.
So at the end of that quest, he joins your community again, and then 2 other people join, so you get 3 at once. And I was just like, oh yeah.
Okay, that's a good payoff.
It was very funny. It's like I get what they're going for, and I think because like once you're past 3 and into community level 4, like the side quests continue to reference each other, and like you feel like there is like still some amount of forward progress in the story. I just think in general they aren't particularly well written, and you're not doing interesting things because it's a whole lot of fast traveling or just gathering or just crafting. It's just like all the least interesting things you could possibly be doing. Yep. It's not exploring, and it's not combat.
It's like the last thing you come to one of these games for is, man, I can't wait to go run past nodes and pick up items.
I got so lucky.
That's specifically what I was cool about with the side quest stuff. And one was like, oh, okay, so this is just an excuse to explore and fight.
Yeah.
I wanted to do those things anyway.
Yeah. This is like, we need you to craft this very specific item but then you have to go to these the resource nodes and just get lucky with the drops. And then I remember looking up one is like, okay, I need this and this. And then like they immediately dropped. And like the first 2 nodes I checked, and I was just like, wow, that could have been really annoying. I got lucky there, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There was one like specific type of node that I knew was near a fast travel point, so I just reloaded it like 3 times to get what I wanted.
Like Ys 8 has a similar system where like you've got crafting and you've got to go through the nodes, but the nodes always give you just like bucket loads of shit.
Yeah, but in this it's like randomized. You couldn't even look up a guide or it'd be like, oh, this has a 20% chance to drop here.
That's garbage.
So like it wasn't, but it never really roadblocked me. It was just like, this isn't fun.
Yeah,
this isn't fun.
It's shitty busy work that nobody who tested this was like, oh, that's my favorite part. Like, it's literally like, you can't be more transparent that you're padding out your game time.
I think if the stories were just written a little better.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know, voice acted or something. They're just very dry in their delivery.
There's good side quests. There are games with good side quests.
Yeah. The funny thing is that right before buying Torna, I reinstalled Witcher 3, thinking, "Oh, I'll just run around and do some. I'll just run around and do some side quests." And then after playing Torna, I'm just like, "No more side quests." So I had,
because like the ones in Witcher 3 have writing.
Yeah, they're
in
amazing.
Them.
I probably should actually check it out now that I downloaded like 70 gig game again. But it was just
like I remember Lightning Returns, like having some pretty nice side quests
can be good,
like, unique stuff.
I remember thinking like, imagine like being a game that forces you to do like half the side quests and not being Witcher 3 or Nier Automata.
Yeah.
I mean, like the old games, like the older games, like Final Fantasy VI again, like most of the back half of that game is technically optional.
Just
like
side
you just
quests.
Want to do it.
Yeah, but there's just something about the way modern games,
it's more good part of the game.
The way modern games like label side quests as like
it's literally throwaway trash.
Yeah, and like the production values are just not the same.
No.
The expectation is no longer that the average player will want to just fully do everything.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Ys 8. The expectation is that, all right, the average player is going to do this little bit of the game, and then we'll have all this other stuff for, the people that really like 100%ing stuff and playing the same game for 200 hours will
Yeah.
give them all this extra stuff.
The people that will freak out if we release a JRPG that you can beat in 10 hours.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
exactly.
Without this gate, this game's really breezy. Like, you level up really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a condensed Xenoblade experience, and I could understand the appeal of that. Oh, so I will give this game one positive. They refined the combat a bit from Xenoblade 2 in a way I think is really nice and should have been in the original game. Is that in Xenoblade 2, you have character pairs, drivers and blades. So your main character, Rex, is a driver, and Pyrrha is a blade, which means she literally stands behind him in combat and just focuses.
I looked at Xenoblade 2 combat footage finally, like recently, and I saw that. I was like, wait, she just stands there?
She just stands there.
Like pushing, funneling energy into him. I was like, this is so silly looking.
Yeah. So Torna fixes that. In Torna, you switch characters and can play as the blades finally.
Yeah,
so that
should have been a thing in the original, but I think that game is so weighed down by systems that why add one more thing? Like at this point, like that game's almost to the tipping point of having too many systems. Yeah. So that's probably why.
Because in the original game, though, like you can switch between 3 weapons. So in this, you're just switching between 3 team members. Yeah. So it actually functions like exactly the same. It's just in the aesthetics that are way better this way. Because now you can play as Brigid, and that's fun. Yes. And I played as her a whole lot because she rules.
Yes.
And, you know, I think people really like this one as well because you can play as Mithra finally.
Yeah.
She doesn't, not just having her stand behind Rex giving him energy.
Yeah, it's real silly.
So that's nice. It's one of those things that I didn't look up Xenoblade combat, Xenoblade 2 combat, when I realized, like, oh, you're just never actually going to get to directly control them. That sucks.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So this is a change I really like. And I don't think they ever give any sort of story explanation for it. It's just how it is in this one. But so back to the side quest grind, though. So I spent like 5 hours fucking doing side quests on Tuesday night. I was just like, okay. I'm also a little disappointed with where the story's been going so far. You better knock it out of the park, game, for the finale. And at this point, I was also like, I wonder if there is even going to be a final dungeon, or it's just going to be okay, final boss time, end of game. Because you know when you put content behind such a stupid grind, you might be thinking that people might not actually bother to see it.
Yeah.
There is a final dungeon. It's not particularly amazing. It actually reminded me a lot of Xenoblade 1 in a cool way. And then there's a final boss fight, and this game fucking nails the ending.
There we go.
Yeah!
They do a thing in the final boss that I just love for the sheer audacity of it, is they do a similar set piece to Bayonetta 2. In Bayonetta 2, there's a fight where you, as Bayonetta, are fighting a human-sized enemy, and then in the background, Lady Butterfly is fighting a, kaiju-sized angel.
Yeah.
They basically do something exactly the same in this, and the gameplay conceit is that instead of your team gauge raising up, like the 3-bar thing, when you press start to activate that, it causes the background things will happen.
That's
so it's basically
cool.
It's so cool. And it's like, I realized, like, it's integrating Xenoblade cutscenes into the gameplay.
Yeah.
And Xenoblade cutscenes are the fucking best in the world.
Which sounds like that really, really cool moment from Xenoblade 1, kind of expanding that, the one I mentioned.
I think the one in Xenoblade 1 is actually cooler, but this gets close.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
So yeah, and
channeling some of that energy.
It's a lot of that energy. The final boss is ridiculous. He has like billion HP or something. Like the fight might have actually gone on a little too long, but I was very pleased with it. And then the ending went hard enough in a way that I wanted from this, even though it wasn't actually repeating those moments that you see flashed to in Xenoblade 2. So I was kind of mad that this ended on such a good note that I couldn't just write it off entirely.
Because
I remember the voice in my head when I was grinding those side quests was like, going to be basically, I can't unrecommend this game enough.
Yeah.
I was so mad at it. I was like flashing back to the Socks Make People Sexy most disappointing games of all time list and thinking I was going to go add this to it.
Oh, wow. A retroactive 10 years later edition.
I just don't think I'd ever felt so lied to by a game where it just asked me to grind side quests for 5 hours. But then it ends really good, and I was just like so conflicted.
Damn it.
So I would recommend Torna, just be aware of what you're getting into.
Okay. Because, yeah, I'm still like, yeah, I can see playing that. I'm like, yeah, I can do that grind. I can do that.
It's a challenging piece of media because of some of the bullshit pulls.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent.
Polly.
Yo.
I'm all done.
All right, you're all done.
All right,
John's
the
all
Xenoblade
done.
Power Hour is complete.
The Xenoblade Power Hour has concluded.
Oh, so sorry, I said I was done. John finished Xenoblade and then immediately started Xenogears.
Yeah.
I finished Xenoblade Torna and then immediately resumed playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh.
It's that
Cool.
energy of here's a game
All right.
here's a JRPG I shelved.
Yeah,
I'm going
like,
to get back
let's-
to it.
let's-
Xenoblade is going to give back
Yeah.
when it has taken.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. I hear nothing but good about that game. I watched somebody play through a majority of it. It seemed fun, so.
Oh, nice.
You're in for a good time.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I guess this the Xeno Power Hour has concluded. I will wrap things up with everybody's favorite, a visual novel. I played one of those. It's like I'll bring the energy in the house back down to kill this to kill this podcast properly. So I played
The long games that are just a bunch of good story instead of having a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Right,
separating out the story.
Right. So like, just a game with
Cool.
a lot of stories. So I played Steins Gate Linear Bounded Phonogram.
Okay.
So this is a
How
cool
does wind up treating you?
This is a cool little freebie that you get for picking up Steins Gate Elite on both the PS4 and the PC. And unfortunately, you only can get it by picking up Steins Gate Elite, which is Steins Gate Elite. For those who don't know, is it's the first game again. But what they did was they made an anime about Steins Gate a couple years later after the visual novel, and it turned out really good. A lot of people like it, a whole lot. So they partnered with that the production team, and they fleshed out the rest of everything that maybe they didn't get into from the visual novel, and then they used those scenes to craft a visual novel using the anime footage only. It's a very interesting. It's something that
I did not fully follow that, but
Okay,
huh.
it's a visual novel that's basically made from all of the anime footage.
Huh.
They've tweaked the footage in a way so that it loops in certain ways sometimes, or that it comes to a stop to where that they can pop a text box up while a character speaks, and then the character's mouth moves and things like that. It's an interesting presentation for a visual novel. I plan on streaming it, so I'll be streaming that at some point. So, but you only get Linear Bounded Phonogram if you get Steins Gate Elite. If you pick it up on the Switch, if you pick up Elite on the Switch, you get like an 8-bit Famicom adventure.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, it's like a
Cute.
It's a short reworking of the original story, but it's only like a couple hours long. Whereas this is literally like, this is 10 separate stories that are about 2 to 3 hours apiece. So this is like, this is almost as long as the original visual novel, and you're just getting it as a freebie with Steins Gate Elite. So yeah, that's that. So Linear Bounded Phonogram, it's a collection of 10 or 11 short stories that are mostly written by guest authors. Most notable for me, obviously, was Kataru Uchikoshi wrote one of the stories. So I was just like, oh, okay, I'm 100% here for this. Because I picked up Steins Gate Elite because I had some Steam credit, and it was on sale for a pretty deep discount. So I only paid like $5 for Elite.
$5? No way.
Yeah, I only
They're
paid
giving it away.
Well, they're giving it away because I had a lot of Steam credit.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So, like, and all the stories take place from the perspective of every main character from the original story. And there's some interestingly chosen, like, characters you wouldn't expect. So that's, like, one thing that I really liked about Steins Gate Zero is that rather than like the first game where it took place from Okabe's point of view exclusively. Zero takes place from a lot of characters' points of view, and you get different views on that story. So like that's what this entire game's conceit is. Like every story takes place from a different character's point of view, and that's really cool. And then, like they all take place at varying points on like the world line / attractor field. And you kind of have to understand the alpha and beta timelines and attractor fields from the original game. And there's a world line and attractor field that were created especially for this game as well, which is the one Gitaru Uchikoshi wrote. So, and that basically gives you the context for what part of the story these stories are taking place in. So, like, you really have to have paid a bit of attention to the world line numbers and stuff in the first game. But they give you that number also while you're selecting your story to play in linear bounded Phenagram. So like this is like Steins Gate is a story. It's built around time travel, and so with that, like you can play with these stories and these characters a lot, and you're kind of able to kind of seamlessly weave these stories in and out of the original game's main storyline in some really like creative and impressive ways. So like each story is its own little 2 to 3 hour self-contained episode that can easily you can easily just kind of like sit down, play one, and be done for. Like I played through this just like every night that I played. It was just a separate story, and I was done for the night. So it's like
cool.
That definitely seems like a neat, interesting, probably the best way to play it.
Yeah, like just like letting those stories land, and then just like, because a lot of these stories like they do have those moments where it's just like, oh, like I took some time to think about this story afterward, and it's just like, oh, that really hits a different way when I think about it in the context of both what just happened and the original story. Oh my god. There's a lot of oh my god in this game. Like it happened more than I thought it would. Like because the stories are just shockingly well written. Like the people that were writing these stories were very, very cognizant of that original story and respecting it, and paying these individual stories off in their own ways, where you can fuck around with time travel, and you can still make it really interesting. And despite the fact that the characters are all being handled by people, like the voices still remain the same. Like everything still feels nothing feels amiss because other people are writing these characters. And I think the most fun is when like the writers are taking liberties with the characters, or you get to see a side of these characters that weren't presented to the player in the original game. Like their thoughts on how something was playing out from the original timeline, and things like that. Like that stuff is real interesting, and you get a lot of really like sentimental or just like happy or really, really sad moments that come from like understanding how certain moments are really actually gutting this character on the inside, but in the original they were really just stand up and stoic about it. And that's really, really cool. All the stories that take place in world lines that are unique to this game are all very good too, with characters that's just like, I didn't know that you could write a very good story from Mr. Braun's point of view, for example. Like he's the guy that owns the CRT shop, where the main characters are renting their lab from, and it's like they end up telling this really cute story about him trying to connect with his daughter after winning the lottery, because he's like, well, what can I do to make this place like better for my daughter? And it's just like they tell this little 3-hour story of him doing everything he can, and it's just like, well, we didn't get it right this time, let's use the time machine and try again.
Oh boy.
Aww.
And it's got such a warm and cute little ending. But I think like the best part is just like, I didn't realize, like, I knew that I liked these characters in this world a lot, but I didn't realize how much I liked and loved them until like it was kind of presented to me in this format, where you kind of get to live in these characters a little bit. Like you don't get to live in Mayuri's head in the original game for a little bit, and like see kind of like the some of the like the late game parts of Steins Gate, where there's conflict that arises and how a situation between Mayuri and Chris gets solved, and it's just like, oh, it's so gut wrenching, like, and it hurts so much. But I mean, it's just a damn nice little collection of short stories that I like a whole lot, and I think that like. Cool. People kind of know my tastes by now enough that I was like, I'm not really big into like side story kind of stuff. Like, it's not really using my jam, but like this entire thing from start to finish is so good. And I guess it's like the only real bummer to it is that like there's no other way to get this other than like YouTube it. You could YouTube the port, because I think all of the stories are on YouTube too. But like other than picking up Steins Gate Elite. And if you've already played Steins Gate, if you've already played the original Steins Gate, I don't know what value Elite holds for you, since it's the same story. It's just we're using the anime as the source.
It sounds like you'd be buying this collection.
I know. It sounds
like you'd be buying this collection by purchasing Steins Gate.
It sounds like
Elite.
This is just worth it.
And it sounds like it's like 20 to 30 hours. So
yeah, I think that this is honestly a worthwhile pickup. Like, and it's even better if you don't have Steins Gate or haven't read the original visual novel. Then like, okay, fine, like you get to play an interesting like version of Steins Gate. So it's just like, yeah, you don't like it's still got all of the same content of the original. It's just presented in a different way. So
I would word it as just like linear bounded phonogram comes with copy of Steins Gate Elite.
Yeah, like that would be like you think that would be the way they'd handle it, because like the funny thing is like you can get the other weird short story collection, which is like a weird dating sim where all the characters are kind of taken out of whack and they're just clearly just having a lot of fun with that. Like you can buy that separately. But you can't get linear bounded phonogram any other way than picking up. And like I think that, like, for my taste and what I know and enjoy about Steins Gate, like, I think that, like, $60 for this and, like, the original game, I think that's totally worth it because, like I said, like, this is, like, 20 to 30 hours of really good short stories that you can enjoy after that or after Steins Gate 0. There's just, there's not content on this thing that I would skip at all. Like, it's just all good. Like, all of the stories.
That's really impressive.
Polly. There was one story we were nervous about.
Okay.
Oh no.
There's a character named Luca, and whether that character is trans or not is kind of based on the story / world line you're in, and how that character is treated is in this series is a big old asterisk that I give people going into this series anyway. But her storyline in this thing is named Hermaphroditus in the Labyrinth, and it's just like, really was that necessary? But the story in and of itself is actually really good.
Okay.
It's just like we have to point this out because that's the like it's one of the like this is our identifier for the character is that might be a boy, might be a girl. Like we're kind of feeding into a real toxic mindset that's really bullshitty and stupid. But like the story in and of itself actually turned out really good. It's one of the sweeter stories in the collection, I think.
That's nice, at least.
Yeah, like this is a story.
I think short story collection in an established world following up like long form game things is like a really cool vibe. I think that's like a nice energy.
Yeah,
because when you're doing short things, you can afford to be a lot more like weird and experimental. You can be a little more out there than with the big long story where you have to kind of there are different demands in place.
Yeah.
I feel like that was kind of Trails Third's energy.
Like we're both thinking about Trails Third here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like this gave me a lot of Trails Third vibes in that sense, where you're dealing with a lot of these cool little compact stories that self-contained. They don't have to contribute anything at all to the original story with the way this is packaged. Like this is really its own thing. And given that it's a time travel series, you can have a lot of fun with that. And they really do. This is a good collection of stories that will make you laugh a lot. It'll make you cry a lot. It gave me all of that good stuff that I liked about the original game, but it like helped recontextualize characters in ways that I think is really valuable. Like I really liked getting in the head of some of these characters and kind of seeing how like what they were thinking at certain parts of that original story unfolding, and it's just like it's heartbreaking at times, it's humorous at times, but I don't think that they dropped the ball on any of this collection at all. Like, it's just solid start to finish.
Awesome.
Yeah, so like getting it as a cool free thing, like if I were to I would say just get the PS4 or PC version, because I don't like having watched that 8-bit ADV game that's kind of like mimicking those old Famicom adventure games. I don't think that adds that is only as long as one of the stories in this thing, and there are 11 in this, and they're all fucking bangers. So
yeah, I think if you buy the big visual novel and find out there was a 20 to 30 hour semi-sequel that you missed out on the Switch version, that would kind of sting a bit.
Yeah, that kind of stinks. Like, I'm bummed that, like, you can't just get both of those, like, separately. Like, you should just be able to buy that dumb thing. Why make people work on something that you're only going to give to a small portion of the audience? Like, I don't know. That shit just is stupid to me. I'm pretty sure that this was like a fully paid thing in Japan, though. I think that Linear Bound Infinigram was released as its own thing.
I think it's also just a cool vibe because it's like a 2 to 3 hour VN. That's like a big VN you get on itch.io. It's that's a nice self-contained story. That's a nice contained story length, I think.
Yeah. Like, and you get 11 of those little things.
That really appeals to me.
Yeah, this is definitely like, I think that Steins Gate Elite is worth buying because I think that original story is good. And I think that like getting this with it is just like an even bigger argument for promoting Steins Gate Elite, even if I haven't played Elite yet. But I trust that story enough to know that it's good. I know that, like, I think that's one of the best visual novels I've ever played. So yeah, like, I can stand. I can probably stand behind that as a recommendation, despite the fact that I have not played Elite yet. Weird as that probably sounds. Like, I know that that's a weird way to kind of go about recommending something, but that's where I'm at with it, really. So yeah, that's good shit. That's.
Thank you for sharing that.
I think
that sounds really dope. I'm glad that the Steins Gate world is just sort of continuing to give you good experiences. Yeah. I think that's cool.
Like, it just made me interested in checking out, like, the other science adventure club things that they've done, like Robotics Notes and Chaos Head, games of that. Like,
I forgot that it expanded beyond that.
Yeah,
that's
like,
cool.
there are direct references and characters shared between. So, like, I'm interested.
I've never heard anything particularly glowing about that stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
But Steins Gate was definitely kind of the one.
Yeah. Like, this is definitely, like, if those are, like, probably on a sale sometime, I'll give them a look, but I'm not going to rush out and buy, like, Robotics Notes for $60. So, yeah. I guess we'll call that a podcast then, huh?
Guess that's a podcast.
Guess that's just where we're at. So thanks, everybody, for coming out. As always, thank you again for the bits, the subs, the resubs. Always appreciate it. We love you very much for that. And we love you for coming and hanging out with us. It's fantastic. Don't think there's anything left to do, so John Thayer, tell the internet folks where they can find you.
farawaytimes.itch.io.
And Hurret, where can I find you?
Inconsequentialexistence.com. Not like I've updated in 5 years, though, but I paid it up again, so
it'll resume. Again. He paid like 4
cents. It will continue to terrorize the internet.
He paid 4 cents a day for his web
2
hosting.
Cents.
Oh, 2 cents. That's right. They discounted it.
I need to do a whole update to get rid of the Flash stuff eventually.
Oh, it sucks so much. God damn it. Like, yeah. The Flash.
It's just going to be a big RAR file. It's like, download everything here.
Yeah, you might as well, right? Yeah, like the browser version of Polydungeon is going away.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, when you remember cocksmakepeoplesexy.com?
Oh no, The cock's going
Yes.
away!
No longer will DMAC just randomly shout cock when you're browsing it.
If you don't know-
Cox.
Cocks! If anybody is confused about what we're
So
talking about,
stupid.
c.socksmakepeoplesexy.net.
Is it listed on the front page? I think.
Yeah, it's at the bottom. It's always been
Yeah,
in
just
the...
click the C.
It's always in the footer.
That's how I find it. That's how I found it.
Now, we did some dumb April Fool's jokes.
Our April Fool's jokes where we replaced the entire site were literally the best. Like,
Yes.
God. Just the, like,
Yeah.
we can take a moment and appreciate how fucking awesome we are, I think. Let's have a look
I think
here.
we-
We're just, well, I mean, yeah, like, you can-
Absolutely.
like, okay, yeah, we've got the Giant Bone, which I don't like kind of that reference so much anymore, given that the person has changed their name, and I don't want to keep calling them that. But for the time, that was a real funny thing. The store,
articles are still.
the articles on that whole. We spent what, an entire month writing all of those articles for GB. Like, it's so stupid.
There was one that the indie the SIP stylized indie platform,
Stylized
and then
indie
Thomas
plat-
was alone. And then Thomas was alone came out after that. And I was
Like right afterward, I was just like, "Oh my god,
whoops.
Truly ahead of our time.
we were truly like." And then there's the store with just all of the dumbest bullshit. I stole that site from design from Robert's Anime Corner Store.
Nice.
And then there's of course socksmakepeoplesexy.net version fuck yeah pie 3.14149 fuck yeah pie.
Yep.
That's the one Rhett did.
Excellent.
Very, very funny.
Oh my god, does it really say 2008 on it? What the fuck?
We're old, dude. It's 12 years ago. And then version 3 is the fun
That one's also going away because it's a Flash.
yeah,
thing.
it's a Flash site. So if you want to see the last bastion of great Flash content on socksmakepeoplesexy.net, it'd be version 3. DMAC has continued to be the voice of socksmakepeoplesexy.net and all of our dumb shenanigans for the longest time. Everybody's listening to this right now like, what the fuck are they talking about? What website? What are you talking about?
And circle jerk.
There's extremely funny
It's always
12-year-old
nice.
content on our site.
Yeah, like this. Man, we're old. But
true.
anyway, we're gonna get
I've gotten so old in that time. God, compare with my true big self when we met.
We are like what 10 year? Like, is this the 10-year anniversary of you confirming that I am God? Let's go look at. Let's go look
close.
at. Let's go look at my.
It was around
anime
20.
list.
It was around 2010
wait.
because I wrote about Metroid Other M.
Oh
Which is
God!
Okay, so if
December
we did a
20th.
Sox-
December 20th will be the 10-year anniversary. No, wait, it's older. No, wait,
Aw.
it's older. Hold
Yeah,
on.
it's 2009. I bet.
June 1st, 2010 was
Okay.
the anniversary of You Are God. Seriously.
Christ alive.
So if we made a socksmakepeoplesexy.net JRPG, Polly's the final boss because she is God.
There you go. I mean, we kind of did
There you
that
go.
already.
I realized
is
as I
10
was
so
saying,
10
it's
oh my God, it's
Polly
been-
Dungeon.
it's been 10 years.
It has
That's nice.
been 10 years since I've known John Thayer.
Aw, that's nice.
Isn't it? All right, everybody. We're gonna get out of here. We love you very much. Thanks for putting up with our endless bullshit and our endless stupidity. And remember,
Watch Symphogear.
watch Symphogear. And we are the podcast that loves you. We're the only ones that love you. All right, y'all are beautiful.
Did anybody say?
Yeah,
Did anybody already say Retsa Simp Ho Gear?
I think maybe.
They've definitely made that joke.
I'm
That's
pretty
a
sure that
little
joke's
labored.
been made. All right, I'm gonna see you streaming, and then I'm gonna send a raid out. So everybody, stick around.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna send some love somewhere. It's somebody's streaming. It's Saturday night. Who streams on a Saturday night?
I mean, is Angry Link streaming?
He signed off about 20 minutes ago.
Did he get the world record?
I don't. If he did, it's a very small one, and I don't know that he's even gonna submit
Yeah.
it. Like, it seemed like it was.
That
just
makes
a few-
sense because
It seemed like it was just a few frames. Like, we'll know because he'll tweet about it. But We will see.
Yep, he eked out a new one 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
He said.
Okay. Yep. Okay. He's
Just
taking
went
it.
down,
But obviously, more
went
to
down
come, obviously.
400ths of a seconds.
Like that's gonna get blown wide open with this new route, and if he just like gets the proper
945 or bust.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's a hard fucking grind. You know what?
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about Xenoblade. I'm going to send you over to my good pal, Dr. Doobie. He is finishing up the new Xenoblade. He's finishing up the content that connects that game to Xenoblade 2. So I'll just send you...
spoilers.
So spoilers and all that fun stuff, but I'm going to send you all... I'm going to raid over there. You'll stick around. You get extra channel points if you stick around for a raid, by the way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you get like 250.
Wait, I'm not even in the chat right now.
You're not even in the chat.
It was lagging, so...
All right. So we'll catch y'all next time. Thanks again for coming out. Much love. Peace.